under our regular township board meeting, could we all rise for the pledge? Although Janelle already jumped up. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Why don't you bang that thing some more?
I can. Lori, you want to do a roll call, please?
Kevin Scramlin.
Here.
Janelle Keller.
Here.
Teresa Bills.
Here.
Jim Christopher.
Here.
Keith Weiderhold.
Here. You may want to change his name for next meeting.
We can call him Gina.
I don't think that's it. All right, approval of agendas. Everybody got a chance to look over their agenda tonight? Anything we'll need to change or add?
Is there anything we need to change or add? I got a lot of stuff here. I don't have anything to add, but I just will tell you, in the packet, there was, the wave trim noise ordinance information from like November. That doesn't, it's not on the agenda, it was in the packet though, it does not need to be in the packet, so. Nothing on the agenda itself, the agenda, I think is right.
I thought you had something. We got a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda for February 10th, 2024, or 25.
Support
It's quiet, I saw that on there.
with the, of course,
Change?
in Keith.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of minutes, so we've got the approved January 13th, 2024 Township and Fire Board meeting. Want to do those first? Do them together, do them separate? Or we can do them together. And we've got the January 28th, 2025 special meeting minutes. Was there any changes anybody wanted?
I would request one clarification, and that is under new business, item B, says MTA conference. It just sounds a little awkwardly worded, and so I'd like to say note separate rooms, individual fees, like the way it's worded. Supervisor and treasurer are interested in attending with a hotel stay.
What are you saying, you don't want to stay with
I'm
me?
like, as much as I like it, Kevin.
I mean, is that what you're saying?
I'm not sure I want the insinuation here in the board notes. So, at any rate, just add like separate rooms, each, cost is per person or something like that. Thank you. This is the minutes and,
Let's see how you are.
yeah, I just have it.
Anybody got anything else? All good? I will make a motion that we approve the minutes from the January 13th meetings and the January 28th meetings. I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Financials. Janelle?
Okay, so the report that you originally had was from the end of December, so it may not have looked too much different than what it did before. So the report that Laura just brought out for all of you, is the most accurate revenue and expense report. The accounts payable were accurate, so those ones are fine. So I'm gonna glance here first at the revenue and expense report, since that is separate. You are going to see there are a couple of areas we'll probably have to do some budget amendments in. I'm going to hold off on those until next month, because we'll have a better idea of how we're going to end. It'll be our last month of the year going into our new fiscal year. So only a couple of areas. I know last month we did a couple of them, but you can see like board of review. And the only reason that's over, which will be actually corrected with our auditor, is because this is including last year's March board of review, but it was paid in April, so it's reflected in this year, but it really was from the prior fiscal year. So that'll actually be self-corrected when the auditors go through. Other than that, everything else is, I think, pretty status quo in here. flip to, fire 206 account, just to look at the revenue and expense report. We are a little over in that building and grounds. I think I made a little comment for you last month. I'm not sure if you checked that out or not. So we'll probably want to make sure that next month we, make any amendments as necessary. But for the actual accounts payables, you'll see in 101 and 249, we ended up with about 34,300 for the month with our bills. Included in that, you will also see some the 249 account. That is our business account. I'm sorry, our building account. I'm really tired today. I'm struggling through this. It's because you hammered away and raised my blood pressure.
Really?
The 249 account, you're gonna see that it looks a little bit different, and the reason for that is because our building account, we have now figured out a more efficient way of doing refunds. So if someone gets a building application, they come in, they say, hey, yes, I want this permit, and then maybe they decide they're no longer going to do that project. Some of it is refunded, and we have determined a way that we can kind of just cleanly do it through the system. So that's gonna show up a little bit different. And then the other that you'll see out of fire was about 19,508. You'll also note that this only goes through the end of January. So last week's checks we did right were not included in this. And then the 701 account was $238.38, and that was for taxes, I think. Refund of taxes.
It was refunded prior.
Yes,
Somebody had
prior
an
year
adjustment or
delinquent
something.
taxes.
Sometimes we have to refund, we have to send back what the county has sent to us.
So that is both budget amendments, accounts payables, and general financial reports. I guess all three. So unless you guys have any questions, I would motion.
I would like to
sure,
just-
go ahead.
I'll just mention one thing. So the interest for the month of January is posted. I don't always, and actually I don't often have the interest posted prior to the board meetings because not all of the depositories have gotten their statements to me, but in this case, they all did. And so the interest for the township is on page 1 and page 7. John, your interest for the fire department is there for January. So usually you have to wait till the following month to see what was your interest from the previous month, but this one is, this is January's interest. Okay? That's it.
Anything else?
I'll make a motion.
All right, then I would motion that we approve the accounts payables as submitted.
I second it. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
We have to.
Do we have to do a roll call for that one?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes,
yes,
it's
I missed that one.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
sorry.
basically approving the show.
Lori, not a roll call.
Teresa Bills.
Yes.
Jim Christopher.
Yes.
Keith Weiderholt.
Yes.
Kevin Scramlin.
Yes.
Janelle Keller.
Yes.
Did I pronounce that correctly?
Weiderholt.
Weiderholt.
Close. Presentations?
Yep, you just went to the rest.
Okay.
Oh, okay, well, we can wait a
You
minute.
gotta do the investment report.
Oh, I'm sorry, looked right over. Teresa?
Yeah, the investment report, there it is. The only thing it's missing is one of the investments from State Bank. It's called a CDAR, CDARS. It's where we have more than $250,000 deposited into some long-term CDs that are spread out in different depositories, and they're at State Bank. Well, that was rolled into a new term of 6 months. That was rolled at the, I think December 26th, and it goes till June 26th. That has the 101, the 401, and the 249 in it, and there were $1,300 worth of interest, but they didn't give me a breakdown into which funds it goes to, so I did not post that. So there's about $1,300 worth of interest that is not included in this, that some of it would go in 101, some would go in 249, and some would go in 401. Other than that, it's accurate.
Darren, you want the floor?
15 minutes.
All right.
You're watching.
Or less.
So my name is Darren Villarreal. I'm a long-term resident of Groveland Township. I have my wife Nancy with me and Cindy Bouchard, my neighbor. Kevin and I have been talking throughout 2024 regarding power issues on our neck of Groveland Township. We live on Bald Eagle Lake Road, not too far from here, and we've lived out here, I'm not gonna get in front of my slides, but we've lived out here 36 years, and I'm now retired a year and a half now. And after our power failure last January, I said, I'm gonna take on DTE and get them to do their job so that we can have more power, more reliable power in our neck of the township. And based on what I learned with working with DTE last year, I'd like to share that with the board, with the township, so if there's other necks of the township that has similar problems, we can help them get their problems solved sooner than later. So let me go through my slide deck. I've got 17 slides, I've got 15 minutes, and I've already timed it. I'll get through this. So this is DTE's territory for electricity. In Groveland Township, most of Groveland Township is served by DTE. On this side of the line is Consumers Energy for electricity. At our house, we get electricity from DTE, but we also get natural gas from Consumers Energy. I'd like to point out that our senator, our local senator, who you know who that is, gets electricity and gas from Consumers Energy. Our state representative that serves our community gets his gas and electricity from Consumers Energy. And there's a reason I'm bringing that up. You'll see that later in my slide deck. So Consumers Energy and DTE is a monopoly. You can't choose where you want to get your electricity from. You only can get it from DTE. But they are regulated by the Michigan Public Service Commission. And that is a lot. You think it's a huge panel of people, but I'm going to show you it's not. So DTE, and that's my focus, is DTE here because that's where we get electricity from. They answer to the Michigan Public Service Commission. They are hypersensitive to the Michigan Public Service Commission, and I'll share with you a reason why. The Michigan Public Service Commission is a governor-appointed commission. I want to be very clear on this. I am not a politician. I'm a retired employee. I'm 64 years old. I'm not interested in politics. I'm not an independent. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm just somebody that lives in Groveland Township that wants to live a better life. There's only three members, as I mentioned. The commission reports to the governor and the state senate. So 36 years in Groveland Township, that's how long we've lived here. Kevin is our third township supervisor since we've been here. I retired in June of 2023 after 40 years at General Motors in middle management. I have actually 20 years of call center supervision oversight in Detroit, Oklahoma City, Springfield, Missouri, Saginaw, Joliet, Illinois, and Flint. And there's a reason I bring that up. I heard from my old boss who I worked for 13 years. He's since passed away. He used to say, facts are friendly. And I used to think, what is he talking about? And one day I says, Gary, what are you talking about, facts are friendly? He said, facts are friendly, think about it. You can't always say everything's good when you're doing a presentation. If it's good, share it, let's celebrate. If it's bad, tell me it's bad, because if it's bad, we can work together on making it better. And that's where the facts are friendly statement comes up. It's all about team collaboration and solving it better. Not one person is a subject matter expert in everything. It takes a team, 2 or 3 or 4 people to solve problems. We have survived hundreds of power outages in the last 36 years. We have suffered losses to burnt computer boards, washing machine computer boards. I believe now our furnace or our battery pack and fireplace and our furnace computer boards got burned up due to frequent on and off power, as well as brownouts. Actually, brownouts are worse than just power outages. It just fries electronics. Blown fuses on our pole power coming to our house. We had a cracked insulator, and DTE said when they came out to fix it that these are a common problem, where the insulator cracks and then electricity arcs. We had a fire on the top of our pole. When we called DTE, it was about 3 years ago. They were out there in 30 minutes with 2 big boom trucks fixing the problem. Learn to take DTE's comments, and you can see a lot of this on Google searches. They say they have a commitment to quality. I take that with a grain of salt, okay? They don't have a commitment to quality or service. And I've lived through that, and I believe a lot of other people have the same feeling. As I mentioned, I have no affiliation to any party. I have no hidden agenda. I'm here just to share lessons learned so that maybe if there's another neck of the township that's got problem, they can look at the presentation and say, I know the 3 people to go to get my problem fixed. We just want to live in peace, and we want to help make life better in the township. So this is just a very simple cursory map. Our power comes from the Wolf Road substation in Ortonville. It comes down Grange Hall Road. It comes down Wildwood Road. It comes down Bald Eagle Lake Road. And also Top of Pines community is up here at the top. And I think there's like maybe 10 or 12 houses up there, up on the bluffs. But instead of DTE running the wire along the road, they did a shortcut probably over 45 years ago across private land. And I'm going to talk about the problems about taking shortcuts without trimming trees around those wires. So that's Top of Pines. Next slide. So this is a snapshot I did with my cell phone many months ago. This is typically what we see when we see, you know, an ice storm or a blue jay is standing the wrong way on a wire, or a tree limb touches a wire. It breaks the circuit. And this is right off of a power outage. I go to the DTE power outage map, and you can see these. So they've got 2.3 million customers, and at this moment in time, there was 8,600 customers without power. And I called DTE about this for a moment. In 2013, we got smart meters put on our house. And you don't have to call DTE when your power goes out. They know instantaneously that your power's out. They said that if you call them, that's good if you want to get text updates about the power restoration, but you don't have to call them. They already know based on the smart meters when your power goes out. But this is something that we see a lot. And we live down here, and this is most of the township is covered by that map. This is our whole house generator that we installed 18 or 19 years ago. It runs a lot. And I think in the 19 years I've had this whole house generator, I think I've collected like $35 from DTE for the natural gas that we burned. They have different rules that you have to abide by to get that money. It's just like they do everything they can not to pay you the $35. I could care less about the $35. I just want my power. Okay, so in 2023 we had 7 extended power outages, and I'm not talking about 5-minute outage. I'm talking about 4 hours to 47 hours of outages. So that was a bad year, and it was up from the year before. At the start of 2024, as I mentioned, we lost our power. It was just a wet, heavy snow. We got 10 inches of snow in 6 hours. I remember the evening, and poof, our power went out. So I knew that was the start of a bad year. Through the end of November, we had 10 extended power outages that were typically between 4 and 47 hours with no electricity. So of course our power generator's running an awful lot. We had 9 of them that were less than 5 minutes, so I call that maybe they're doing some maintenance on the wire, they're changing circuits, they're changing fuses, whatever. So I really don't get excited about this. I get excited about 10 failures. I read online that DTE says anything above 3 or 4 extended power outages is excessive. I will tell you, do not call DTE's call center. You are wasting your time. And I also invited DTE to come to this meeting today because I told them I'm not going to be too kind about DTE, and I'm surprised they're not here. But I'm going to tell you something, don't waste your time to go to the 1-800 number. the agents that you're talking to, you can hear them, they're typing everything that you say. I talked to an agent in January or February, and I talked to her again in like August or September, and she read everything that I said. It was incredible. It was just incredible what and how accurate it was. But they don't do anything with it. And they're not empowered to solve problems. All they're there to do is to collect information. And then they say, well, management reads I don't think they do. So anyways, don't waste your time going to the DTE's call center. I asked several times to speak with a manager or a director. They would not let me talk to anybody higher than a supervisor. And I was very offended by that. I said, I just want to talk to somebody that can make change. And that never happened. I asked them many times, it never happened. The most effective way to get DTE's attention is to go to the Michigan Public Service Commission website, file your complaint. It's super easy. It takes you less than 5-10 minutes. And I guarantee you're going to get a phone call from DTE within 12 to 48 hours. I positively guarantee they're going to call you and, well, what can we do to make your life, Mr. Villareal? I also learned that 67% of the power failures are due to trees that are not trimmed. 33%, the remaining, are due to mechanical issues. In 2024, as I mentioned, we lost power 10 times between 4 and 47 hours with zero power. I made over 50 phone calls to DTE in the first 11 months of 2024 asking for help. And when I did speak with every person I talked to until we did get satisfaction, I told them, I promise you, I will not go away until this problem is solved. It's just not going to happen. So you may as well just roll up your sleeves and fix our problem. I asked to speak to a manager director. Every time it was denied. So I submitted 6 written online claims with the Michigan Public Service Commission, 6 of them. And that's what gets them at DTE to do their job. As I mentioned, on January 15th, we had a heavy wet snowstorm. It was on a Friday evening. There was no wind, it was just snow. Big snowflakes, big heavy snow. And we lost the power. And I remember driving around the township after almost the second day, and I found them right here behind the township. They were there for like 6 hours with 2 big boom trucks and like 6 guys working up there. Something happened. Insulator broke, wire broke, I don't know. But they were up there and our power finally came on. So I decided that's a turning point. Since I'm retired, I've got so much time, I'm going to get this thing fixed. So that was the straw that broke the camel's back. In February and September, calling, because I didn't know, I called the customer service group about my power losses. Twice they told me a field service manager would call me and I would receive an email in writing from their engineering department what the fix is going to be. That was in February, it never happened. That was in September, it never happened. In midsummer, Richard, who I thought was with the DTE, called me after I submitted a complaint to the Michigan Public Service Commission. And I was talking to him, I says, who exactly are you with? Well, I'm with the Michigan Public Service. I said, I thought you were with DTE the way you're talking. And he says, no, I see all these complaints that you keep filing, so I wanted to call you to find out what's going on, or what's not going on. And I remember him telling me that DTE will not cross private land to trim trees. And that's where it gets to the top of pines that taps into our feed as a shortcut. And I'll talk a little bit more about what we discovered going on up at the top of pines. But anyways, he's misinformed because the tree trimmers who work for DTE under contract, they will go on private land and trim the trees. They'll let the landowner know what they're going to do, but they will cut the limbs. In September, I filed more claims and spoke with the manager at the Pontiac station. He said, I'm going to put you in contact with Nick, and I never got Nick's last name, with DTE. He visited our house. I remember he called us from the little church over there on Josman and Bald Eagle, and says, hey Darren, this is Nick. I'm here to talk to you about your power problem. I says, do you want to meet me at the wire down by top of Pines, or what do you want to do? You want me to come to the church no, I'll come up to your house. I says, okay, fine, you'll talk to me and you talk to my wife. And he did. I think he was afraid of me. But anyways, he showed us on his iPad a map that showed how the power comes to us. And he says the problem from his experience is probably trees and old fuses. Okay? Remember the old fuses. I'm going to share with you something. I reached back to Nick twice. We were gone overseas for about a month. And when I got back, I expected to see an email with a solution. He didn't give me a solution. I texted him. I gave him 3 days to respond. And then the second time I says, Nick, why are you ignoring my calls? What's going on? And he says, well, I'm on my way up to Traverse City. I'm going to have a field engineer reach out to you. And he did. The field engineer reached out to me hours later, and he started to talk to me like the corporate language, like we're cutting trees, and I said, stop right there. You're not doing anything to solve the problem. So Nick submitted an engineering work order in November. He submitted the request to the engineering department in late November. I received a phone call from Rohan Sheedy, very sharp guy. He's the guy that made it happen, from the Power Quality Engineering Department. I submitted another complaint to the Michigan Public Commission. I got no reply after 2 days. So at 10:30 at night, I submitted another claim, and I got a call 12 hours later from DTE. And this time, it was from a lady by the name of Mrs. Spear. And the first thing I said, Mrs. Spear, which department do you work in? What do you do? And she said she works in the escalation department for the executive suite, you know, and she wanted to understand what was going on. So I shared with her all the facts that I shared with everybody else for 10 months and never got any satisfaction. And after this 30-minute conversation, I said, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to give you 2 weeks to come up with a solution. Otherwise, I'm going to send a letter to your CEO and president of your company, and your name's going to be included in it with a lot of other people. And I couldn't believe what she said. Well, why would you do that? If you send it to our CEO and the president, we'll just intercept it, and then we'll just keep working the process. And I said, Mrs. Sheedy, I can't believe what you just told me. I says, I'm going to make it real simple. I'm going to send a letter to your CEO's 3 houses and your president's 1 house. And I will also send a copy to the Michigan Public Service Commission, and I'll also contact Channel 4 Meet Me, or the Help Me Hank people, and they'll come and interview me in my driveway, and I'm going to share with them all the facts. 5 days later, the right tree people, here's a picture of my wife and the 2 people standing.
I didn't know we took that.
She didn't know that because I took that picture with my Ring camera. I was in the house when this is going on, and I snapped the picture. Anyways, it's amazing what you can do with cropping. Okay, so I woke up in the morning on a Friday, and I heard chainsaws, and I looked out across Marilyn McGee. If you know Marilyn McGee, she's across our driveway. And there were these 3 big boom trucks, and I went out to run an errand, and there was 5 more up and down the road, and I'm thinking, wow, they're going to do a lot of work today. They didn't do it today. They did it for 12 more days. So this is all during the Christmas holiday. And I ended up talking to the supervisor, and I said, what happened? He says, we got an urgent call from headquarters down in Pontiac that we needed to get out here right away and start cutting trees, cutting tree limbs. And they did an excellent job, and I talked to the supervisor 3 times between those Sundays and Fridays. So they worked for 2 solid weeks. On top of this work that they were doing, trimming trees, DTE replaced 25 fuses. These are called E and K fuses. And I'm not an electrical engineer, I don't know what they mean, but they're modern fuses. And they help to keep the power from going out. So out of curiosity, I sent a note to Rohan just like a month ago. And I said, hey Rohan, how much did you guys spend on this work? Maybe $65,000? He said, out of $65,000, we spent $148,000 fixing this problem. And so far, so good. We've had 2 days since the middle of January where the wind gusts were over 50 miles an hour, and our power is still on, which is amazing. So normally, our power would go off. Anyways, 3 days after they completed the job, it's amazing. that the Michigan Public Service Commission awarded DTE with the $217 million rate increase. 3 days. And I think what happened is Mrs. Spear was afraid of me going on Channel 4 News and bashing DTE right when they were in the final negotiation with the Public Service Commission for a rate increase. And I'm going to show you some numbers that's going to really make you irritated, I think. So anyways, we see trees up and down our road that should have been cut down 10 years ago, now being flagged and they're now cut down. This pole was added by DTE. Remember that shortcut I said going from Bald Eagle up across private land? They put this pole up there, but not only did they put the pole up there to support the wire, it's got new insulators and it's got a new fuse. So if they have some power turbulence up the top of Pines, it won't knock our power out. Because what was happening is all this power demand on the grid was causing a chain reaction with all these fuses. So, and I want to just mention that there's 60 people on this network. It's just not me. So the work that we did impacts 60 homes in our community. So this is something we haven't seen in a very long time. This is some trucks. They were up there for 5 days trimming trees up at top of Pines. Never saw that before. This is on Wildwood, over by Wildwood Lake. You can see 3 boom trucks in that area trimming trees. This is a look down the road to the east of me, where often when power goes out, they're up here working on this telephone pole. I don't know why, but anyways, a lot of good work here. Here's some tree trimming with mobile equipment going through private land. The tree trimming manager told me that they were up there trimming trees that have never been cut before. There was a huge grove of dead pines up there, and they were touching the wires and they were rubbing the insulation off the wire, causing the power to go off. This is on Bald Eagle Lake Road on a steamy Sunday morning. This is something I asked Rohan and Mrs. Sheedy. I simply asked them in December when the work was going on, at what point would you have done something about this high amount of power failures? And both times I asked them, both times they refused to answer. And that's very disturbing. That, you know, it makes me feel like we're hillbillies living out here, and the heck with you, we're going to work down there in West Bloomfield and Novi and other places taking care of other people's power problems. So the Michigan Public Service Commission did an audit in spring of 2023 after over 800,000 people in South Michigan lost their power due to ice on wires. It was 2 years ago. It was bad. Some people did get power turned back on for like 9 days. It was so bad. And it happened in, I think, late February or early March of that year. And because so many people were upset, and they're calling their politician, they're calling the township and beating on people, Lansing pulls in the executives from DTE and Consumers Power, and of course they drag them across the carpet, and they say, what are you going to do to make it better? Anyways, it was probably more for show than anything else. Customers are fed up, and that's not the first time they've been fed up. So the politicians took a lot of heat from the customers, and they did what they could do to get DTE to do their job. The one thing that I learned through my research is that the audit came back and it said that the infrastructure was aging. 40% of the circuits are older than 1960. So the wires and the breakers date back to the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. And that's scary to think about, okay? I can't imagine that a circuit breaker costs so much to get replaced. But anyways, it was kind of shocking information to see that. It also says that the audit does not discover that DTE does not track the ages of their service transformers. It seems like DTE just reacts to problems. Power goes out, let's go fix it. Power goes out, let's go fix it, instead of fixing it to become more proactive. I think that the linemen do an excellent job. They are in harm's way. In fact, I read through my research, it was about a year or two ago, one of them got electrocuted doing like what this man is doing on these poles. This is very dangerous work. The average worker makes $77,000 a year, and the CEO of DTE makes $10.3 million. And he's been in that job since 2019. What that guy makes in 1 year is what a line worker would have to work 142 years to make. And I got a problem with that, but there's not much I can do. I also discovered that back in the 1950s, CEOs typically made 20 times what a median income worker for their company. This guy's 142, but there's a lot of CEOs out there making ginormous amounts of money. I just have a problem with that. This is what's funny to me. It's hard to read this here, but it says, DTE said in 2016, quote, right off of their webpage, serving our customers is the #1 priority at DTE Energy. Ha! We work tirelessly to provide our customers with safe, reliable, and affordable energy. That to me is just media, public relations. So I did some more research about customer satisfaction. I talked to customer service twice in the last week, and I said, how is it that I can call you guys over 50 times, and you never at the end of the call send me a survey? Oh, it's just random. I said, 50 to 70 times? I could roll a dice and say, every time the number 6 comes up, you send me, I never got a survey. They never do a survey. And I couldn't find any research that suggested it. But I did find research that says J.D. Power did electrical surveys in 2016, 2022, 2024. Out of a maximum score of 1,000 in 2006, they got 703. In 2022, it went up to 748, but in 2024, it went down to 699 out of a score of 1,000 possible points. This tells me that they're just not doing their job. There is a political connection. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I can tell you that one thing that really irks me is I discovered that 93% of our politicians in Lansing, both Republican and Democrat, accepted PAC money from DTE at the tune of $1.3 million, of which our governor got $235,000. Our local senator accepted $16,500, and I called her office last summer, and I asked to speak with Ruth, and I was told I couldn't talk to her when I told her it was about DTE. Dave Martin, I talked to him. He only accepted $4,500. We did talk on the phone, and I said, why did you accept money from DTE? You don't even get your power from DTE. Why did you accept money from DTE? And in his world, $4,500 for PAC money is not that much money, but he danced around the issue. And I says, I would rather you just say to me, hey, Darren, I need money for postage stamps and flyers. If somebody wants to wave money in front of me, I'm going to take it. But he didn't. He danced around it. I like Dave, but I've also found that the remaining 7% said they won't accept money from DTE. But the problem is these 7% want to change this behavior about dark money and other monies going into Lansing. But look at, you're up against 93. They don't have the votes. It's not going to happen. So it's just a lot of talk. This slide is very important to take a look at. This slide talks about what kind of money does DTE bring in? How much money are they making? What are they doing with their money? So let's just take a look at 2023. They brought in $13 billion revenue from people like us for our gas and electricity. They made net earnings of $1.4 billion. They paid out $789 million in dividends to stockholders. And why would you do that? The reason that they do that is they want people to buy their stock. The more demand for the stock than the supply, which is 217 million shares, drives the price of the stock up. 80% of the CEO and the top 5 leaders of the company, 80% of their pay package is stock options. So their mission in life is to get the price of the stock up. So when they redeem their options before they expire, they get more money. And that's their motivation, I believe. In the last 4 years alone, DTE has paid out $2.4 billion in dividends. They've requested $1.9 billion in rate increases, even though they're making all this money. But a huge part of that's given out as dividends. They've requested from the Michigan Public Service Commission $2.4 billion that people like us need to pay DTE for their power. They were awarded $1.9 billion in increases in the last 4 years. The last one they just got for 2025 is that $217 million I just mentioned. Last year they got $368 million. And that to me is a bloody sin. They are dragging in revenue alone, based on these increases, at a rate of $2.3 million a day. The CEO in 2005, 20 years ago at DTE, his pay package was $3.4 million. The current CEO since 2019 is bringing in over $10 million a year, and we're paying for it. And in January of 2025, they raised their quarterly dividend by 6.8%. So they keep paying more in dividends out of these rate increases that they're getting from people like us. Go back to the Michigan Public Service Commission. This is the chairman, and these are the 2 commissioners. All 3 positions are appointed by the governor alone in the state of Michigan. You can go out to YouTube, just like I can go out to YouTube and see the public hearings in Detroit last fall. This guy does all the talking. These people are just looking at him. You got 10 million people in the state of Michigan, and I got 3 people making a decision on how much money, our money, to throw at DTE. So I looked at the population of similar states. Ohio has 12 million people. They have 5 people on their commission. It's appointed by the governor alone. North Carolina has 11 million people. They have 7 people deciding on how much our utility rates are going to go up, appointed by the governor and the General Assembly. Michigan has 10 million people, and there's only 3 people that's appointed by the governor, and no one approves that position. In New Jersey, 9 million people, and they have 5 people on the commission, and they're appointed by the governor, confirmed by the Senate. I just think that you have, in the state of Michigan, like I can change something, you have too few people with too much authority. So I mentioned in 2013 smart meters. This is the meters on our house. One is for electric vehicle, one is for the hot water heater, and one is for the main house. We have 200 amp service coming into our meter. When this is from the DTE's website, when they were explaining what benefits come out of these new meters that were installed in 2013, it eliminates the manual reading. Remember that lady or that man run across your yard to read the meter? They don't have to do that anymore because the meters send a signal to DTE. Anytime access, you can go to your smartphone and see how much power you're using. Mobile access, faster service, blah, 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 blah. Do you know what happened in March 1 of 2023? Do you remember when, if you consume energy between 3 in the afternoon and 7 at night, you're paying 30% more for that power? So in our house, we have 2 furnaces, and I have my smartphone that says, turn the house off at 3 o'clock and don't turn it on until 7:01. And keep the shades down to keep the house cool, because I'm not paying any more money to DTE. But that's what these smart meters do. It's just another way for DTE to get money out of the public. Last summer, I discovered that our meter on our house was too small for all the appliances in our house, including our generator, which sucks up a lot of natural gas. So we had Consumers Energy install a new meter, and we paid $645 for that meter. That meter today, that same exact installation today, since August of last year, if DTE is the gas provider, you're going to spend $2,232, up from $485. So this guy, I don't know who this press lady is, probably a news lady, called and interviewed him, and he was very upset. Right, retired old guy like me, and now, he's got to pay $2,200 for a meter. It's just not right. And this is in summary, my last slide, I promise you. Don't waste your time going to the DTE customer service. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to spin your wheels on grease. You're not going to be a happy person. Just forget it. Don't call your representative or Kevin for help. because they won't help you. You're gonna be ignored. File a claim with the Michigan Public Service Commission website. That is the most effective place you can go to get a response from DTE. I gave you 3 different contacts. There's Nick, this is the guy that came out to our house. There's his phone number, you can text him. He's a field operations supervisor for our area. There's Mrs. Spear out of the executive office. There's her phone number. There's no phone number. I never talked to Rohan. Everything was done through email, and there's his email. Any questions? I think I went over, but sorry.
No,
I have a little bit of passion about this, and
Really?
just a little bit.
Thank you for the information, Gary.
Well,
You want me to slam the gavel again, or are you ready?
No.
Public hearings, we don't have any. Unfinished business, we don't have any, so we'll jump into new business. Groveland Township Planning Commission Annual Report. I think everybody's got it in front of them. Jim, did you want anything on that? Give me a quick second. Not about the annual report. It was something that, as far as I remember, was never done. That's not true. It wasn't done in recent years, so it was a pleasure to see it. When it comes around to my time to talk about the planning commission, I've got a bunch of notes on that though, Kevin. Sure. So, in a nutshell, it was a surprise to the planning commission. Parenthetically, I think Wade Trim, the woman who's our planner, is doing a phenomenal job. Yeah, she's a nice lady. Very good. That's all I've got to say on that.
So just for general board information, this report from the planning commission is supposed to come to the board every year. Just an annual report that says, hey, this is what we did last year. And then best practice is to propose a budget for the next year, which they have also
I was
done.
gonna say, which takes us right into part B.
So this, we probably could just, motion to accept the annual report as submitted.
Anybody wanna make
I'll
one?
make a motion to accept the Groveland Township Planning Commission annual report for 2024 as submitted.
I will second it. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? So that does take us right to the planning commission budget, which, I was at that meeting, so I believe it was $10,000 is what they supposed for their annual budget. Did we end up splitting that 95 and 5?
I think so.
So I think we did 9,500 and then 5 for educational.
So in the proposed budget for next month.
Yeah.
We used that figure.
Does anybody got any questions or comments on that?
Is that the amount that we had in our?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we put in, was 10,000 for them. Does anybody wanna make a motion to accept their budget recommendation?
So moved.
Second. Yeah, roll call,
Did you hear that? Kevin supported? Sure.
Will you roll call that, Laura?
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Keith Weiderholt,
Yes.
Kevin Scramlin,
Yes.
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bills.
Yes.
So, item C, we received a letter of engagement, I guess you would say, already bid from Pfeiffer, Hannaford, and Polka, that I believe has been the accountants here forever. But anyways, you read through their engagement letter, at the end, the fee for next year says it would be $19,000. I know Janelle and Teresa, you both worked with them quite a bit, you wanna comment on that?
I think they're wonderful.
Yeah, they're fabulous.
Yeah, we looked up, so between, what was it, 21, 22, 23, we
Right.
paid about 15,500.
15,500 was the same price 3 years in a row.
And then last year it jumped up to 18,500. And so now it's really only going up about $500 from what they charged last year. And I will tell you, I personally think that they are phenomenal. They are always willing to help, provide great, recommendations, guidance when necessary. I think they do a great job.
do we have to accept this? I mean, do we have to vote on this?
Yeah,
Yeah, we
and
should.
they have already, they're hoping to get ahead a little bit quicker, than they did last
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
So they are hoping when did I tell you that they were gonna be hoping to come by?
They're coming, I believe, in the first week of May. End of April.
May?
End of April, I think. But last year they were held up because of the OPEB
Yeah,
calculations.
yeah, it took some
We
time.
won't have to have that same thing this
Right.
year, so. Alright, I'll make a motion that we approve, Pfeiffer, Hannaford, and Palka as our auditors, or I think we already approved that we have them as our auditors, but at the price of $19,000 for the audit of 2025.
Support?
You want a roll call that, Laura?
Keith Weiderhold,
Yes.
Kevin Scramlin,
Yes.
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher.
Yes. Item D, Transportation Improvement Association, I believe this is something we have gone through forever. I looked at it the other day. But it's left for traffic safety, crash, I mean, they give you, there's plenty of tools on here you can use to get data out of. The yearly fee is $200 a year.
Well, that hasn't gone up. It's about one of the only things.
The 2020 letters, I just can't get past them.
Oh, yes, I would have thought
And
they
they
could
have
have done something
provided
more
great
for their,
support
yeah,
from
five-year-old
two
letters.
different organizations that gave them support in 2020. You might need to update some of those.
I'll make a motion that, we spend the $200 for the Transportation Improvement Association.
I can support that.
Support that. Thank you. Or do roll call, please?
Okay, Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Keith Weiderhold,
Yes.
Kevin Scramlin.
Yes. Discuss park plan grant. John, you wanna take that?
Which one was that?
This is the power plan grant. I think maybe you guys were thinking about the dash cams,
Oh, that was Stacy's deal.
yeah.
And she got called up.
That was
Is it
Stacy
Yeah.
left on the
5,000?
I believe it
Is
was.
that a matching grant or is that one we get refunded on?
I didn't get the information. I just wrote up.
I
the
believe it's
resolution.
I
Don't know
believe
on
it,
that,
they
to be honest.
pay it. Like, I believe, so when we got the playground grant, they just said, you want 5,000, we're gonna give you 5,000 because we were spending more than 5,000. So, but that doesn't answer whether it's matching or not, right? Do we
No,
have
I
to?
don't know if it is.
I don't think it is. I think they will spend up to $5,000, but
Can you, maybe we could table this momentarily?
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Is
we'll
Stacy
take-
coming back?
Yeah, I haven't got any updates on that call. I'll text her.
Well, we can table it for a little bit.
Yeah, just return to it at the end, just so that.
Yeah,
can
because we have
confirm it. Cause she's done more of the research, I haven't really looked at it.
We'll set it over.
I think I have it up on my computer for what that's.
right, let's see if you can get a hold of her.
Yeah.
Because really, we just need to know if it's a matching or if it's
Right.
just, they'll give you that straight up money. Okay.
Alright, so we'll table it. Alright, we're gonna discuss salaries, it looks like, we've got resolutions typed up already. Was it 3% we're doing cost of living is what was proposed?
Budget 3.1 was, yeah, rate of inflation, cost of living.
Alright. So I guess I am first on the ballot box here. Any conversation?
So just for informational purposes, the March board meeting, we will have a public hearing where we will review the entire proposed budget for the upcoming year to start April 1. However, for general law townships, we do have to adopt a resolution for salaries, and it takes 30 days for those to be effective, which is why we do them here instead of at the March board meeting. That's why you're seeing them here.
Thank you.
I would propose that we support resolution 2025-01.
Someone had a lot on their plate lately.
Yeah, you got a lot of papers here, don't you? For the supervisor's salary of $716.
And I will point out that it does say that it is as of April 1st, 2025. So
Yes,
that
I
date
got
is
one of the
correct.
2025s, not the one up top.
Okay.
Does anybody support?
I'll support.
Laura, you want a roll call, please?
Kevin Scramlin,
Yes.
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bells,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Keith Weiderhold.
Yes.
How'd you get yours ready?
Oops.
So next would be our clerk. I will make a motion that, we pass resolution 2025-02. Support?
I'll support that.
Roll call on
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bells,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Keith Weiderhold,
Yes.
Kevin Scramlin.
Yes. Alright, that moves us to treasurer, resolution 2025-03. I'll make a motion to accept that.
I'll support.
Teresa Bells,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Keith Weiderhold,
Yes.
Kevin Scramlin,
Yes.
Janelle Keller.
Yes.
That moves us to, resolution 2025-4. That would be for our trustees. I will make a motion that we accept that resolution.
I'll support.
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bells,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Keith Weiderhold,
Yes.
Kevin Scramlin.
Yes. Alright. So, that moves us to discussing the ordinance officer, which I believe you gave us a separate job description here, didn't you?
Yes. So this one and the next one, when we met for the, budget meeting, we had just, kind of tossed out potential suggestion, you know, for what to allow in the budget for these positions, and we said, okay, well, we really need to identify what are we paying them per hour, and some of this is because of the Earned Sick Time Act that goes into place on February 21st, 2025, unless anything happens in legislation in the next week, which is possible. But because of that, we kind of really need to narrow down, you know, what are we looking at for an hourly rate? So we had mentioned bringing up some type of a job description that would give us a better idea of what an hourly rate would be. So this is what you're seeing in front of you, just a suggestion, nothing is set in stone here, so if, you know, any comments, whatever you know, have, toss it out there, nothing will hurt my feelings. This is just general idea with the information that I have.
So is the salary, is that, you know, a budget number because it's gonna be hourly?
So that is a salary, the hourly ends up being just over $24. I wanna say it's $24.03, if I remember correctly. So, maybe I'll let you kind of take the floor on that one, because it ended up being a combination of the two.
Sure. And that being said, Keith, it had been salary forever.
Yeah.
But with the new sick time, we've had to, come up with this hourly deal. So Janelle's right, it worked out a little bit over $24 an hour. So I just, to give you some comparisons to townships around us, Springfield pays $23.50 an hour. When I say that, they're paying 2.5 guys at $23.50 an hour. Rose Township just changed theirs around. They did basically the same thing we've got listed here. They have a building official and code enforcement officer. They are paying $40 an hour. Brandon pays $24.80 an hour, 8 hours a week. Holly actually has it tied in with another job, but the code enforcement officer up there gets $28,000 a year. So that's how we came to that number. We tried to stay around our $10,000 salary that we had done. With that being said, we actually went through and put more, I don't know what I wanna say, an outline on the job. At this time, our ordinance officer does not come in the office for regular office hours. We put in here that he will be in the office 2 hours a week to make himself available to people. And like I said, you can read through it. There was some things in there about paperwork and things like that, but I think probably the 2 hours a week in office would have been the biggest change really, wouldn't it?
Probably. I mean, really, he's been doing it already. Maybe not 8 hours a week, which is what has been projected here and what is used in calculating that hourly
That's
rate.
the 10,000 is based on 8 hours a week?
Yeah.
So if he did it, we say he should not work more than 60, then that would be every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Every 2 weeks, yeah. So I'll open it up, like Janelle said, we're wide open for discussion, but that's a little bit of the background on the people around us, municipalities, give you an idea where that money came from.
I have a couple of questions, folks. These 2 hours a week, can we assume that that's a static time? Every week you'll be here on a Monday from 10 to 12, something like that?
That's what we're trying to set up with him. And I told him, to be honest, Jim, I told him, I said, it's gotta be 2 hours a week when we're open, you set the schedule. I don't care as long as it's the same.
Yeah, I would think, so that the community would at least understand that
Sure.
the person would be here. The other question I have, under qualifications, I'm reading the last paragraph. Is that to mean that this person's credentials have to be threefold: building official, building inspector, and planning examiner?
Yes, I think that probably the building inspector will fall under the building official already. And to be a building official, you, I think, have to be able to be a plan examiner.
I don't know, that's why I'm asking.
This was mimicked from what is used currently in Brandon, that statement right there.
And that person, Brandon, is a dual role, to be building official and code enforcement?
Yes, their title is a little bit different, but yes, they're called like a department director. A lot more time invested, but similar responsibilities.
They also are much larger too.
Yes.
Oh, sure. Yep. Keith, you got anything else?
Seems okay. You can always change, I guess, the job description if you find a need for it.
Sure. Lisa?
No, I think that we're conforming to the new, the Earned Sick Time Act stuff, and if the hours have to be documented and turned in, then we'll be able to know what is being done during all those hours when
Sure.
the official is not here in the office. I have no doubt that, the official is out there doing work, but it would be nice to have it documented so we know, like we could have a paper trail to say, look, this is on this particular day, he went out to this particular place. And are you proposing that this plan, if we go with this plan, would it be put into place regardless of what happens with the Earned Sick Time Act? If the legislature changes the act, would we still continue with this particular plan?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I believe so, and part of that, and Janelle, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think when you talk to some of the HR people, they were telling us that we really weren't doing it the right way to start with. Am I
Yeah.
right?
Well, the reality is, like, there were no weekly hours ever documented.
Right.
And they should have been. So
So we've
this
gotta
does
do this
clean it up a
either-
lot.
We need to do this either
That's
way.
what I like about it.
Yeah.
It cleans it up.
Yeah.
Anything else? Make a motion? Do we accept it? The job description?
Sure. I sure did.
No,
We
you
sure
didn't. That's
did
why
make
I'm
that
saying it.
motion that we accept the job description for building official and code enforcement officer.
Second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Before we vote, because we probably should, even though the money's already been allocated. Assuming, I mean, really nothing's changes with this pay, so are we just assuming that this is effective immediately, February 21st, or what?
Yeah, I would, cause we didn't conform to anything according to everybody, so we
Okay.
need to make it
Just
effective.
making sure, so effective immediately.
Actually, since we got Stacy here, you wanna jump back? to
Well,
the
yeah.
phone thing?
So, does that mean then he would start his 2 hours a week in the office, not this week, but maybe next week?
Yeah, maybe next week. Plus, that'll give a little few days for us to make sure he's got an area.
Okay.
We were gonna talk about the power plant grant, but you took off on us.
So the PAR plant I was talking with Teresa on through the PAR is the community insurance.
Yep, it's
Through
on
the
the Decker
township.
Insurance is the Michigan Participating Plan, it's an insurance thing.
So they have 2 a year. You can do one in the spring and one in the fall. Last year we did the landscape kid play area out there in the spring, and then in the fall we did the security cameras at Station 2. Looking this year, I was talking to Teresa, we'd like to get dash cams for our trucks. I think that would, talking with Chief, that would probably benefit us long term. Online, I could find them from, we have to do a resolution, correct, Teresa?
Mm-hmm.
This month, it's open till March 12th.
I think it's March 15th, so it opens February 1st to March 15th, so we have to get the resolution passed first before we can apply.
Looking online, talking with Chief, still trying to look at different cameras. Ideally, something that goes directly to the cloud rather than a SD card. But average is, cheap is $89 and it's $400 or $500. I did call around to, I got one call back from a company that does like fleet services, and they want like $60 a camera a month. And that's not feasible for us.
For it to go to a cloud, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, for it to go to a cloud, you gotta have good connectivity, right? For it to be connected all the time, we have that in Township.
Looking at some of these, they have built-in Wi-Fi in them. Now, with our dead zones in the area, that could be an issue. Average, I would say, I pulled and printed off some for Chief, 4 or 5 different ones. Probably the average price is probably somewhere around $200 for a middle of the road decent one. Some of them go directly to your smartphone. We don't really need that per se. But if we could get something that went to the cloud, that if something, God forbid, happened, that we could pull it out, is what we'd like to do.
Would these be for fire and ambulance vehicles, not necessarily firefighters' cars if they're responding to?
No,
what
it'd
the
be
car
for the
is?
frontline trucks. I think we talked about the 4 ambulances and the 2 engines.
Is it matching, Stacy, or do we pay half, or how does that work?
I think we paid it up front, right, Teresa?
And they
then
reimburse.
reimbursed us?
That's how I think it is.
Cause it wasn't a matching from what I understood. And I think that's what we did with the cameras last year. We bought them and then got reimbursed.
So would it be, so with the window of opportunity being February 1st to March 15th, we were if we had time today to pass the resolution, but we'd have to pick a dollar amount. Are you comfortable waiting until March and coming up with an exact dollar amount with the things that you want? Should we pass, I'm not really positive.
I thought the grant was for up to $5,000.
Right, but you do have to like submit what exactly you want and then ask for a certain amount. So.
Does that have to be in the resolution, the specific amount?
That's a good question.
I mean, not if you're, let's say you wanted up to $5,100, then $5,000 being the max would be what you'd be asking for. I assume you're probably not gonna try to get $3,000 when you can go for 5, but. So if you think you're gonna hit the 5,000, I guess 5,000 would probably be what we'd be asking for. Do you agree? Maybe?
And if you don't use it when we get the actual pricing, looking at different ones, everyone has a little, is it 4K or what the connectivity is, and little idiosyncrasies with them. but the average was about $200. You got 6 trucks, that's like 1,200. If you put them on front and rear, you can double that.
Okay.
Unless you wanted to put them on everything, if there was money there, that's all.
So the way that the resolution is worded then, you have that handy, Janelle?
I do, I sure do, it's right here. It states, whereas the Groveland Township Fire Department wishes to apply for a risk reduction grant through the Michigan Township Power Plan to assist in purchasing or funding fire department dash cams. And whereas the Groveland Township Fire Department is seeking a grant contribution of,
Fill in the blank.
fill in the blank. Now therefore it be it resolved that the Groveland Township Board of Trustees supports submittal of an application to the Power Plan for X amount of a grant to assist in funding your dash cams.
So to me, I read this and it seems like we have to ask for a specific dollar amount. If it said, a contribution of up to 5,000,
I would say up to 5,000.
so is it okay to word it that way? I suppose we could. This is just a
This is
sample
just- yeah,
resolution.
We
Okay.
can modify this.
So why don't we put in there for a grant contribution of up to $5,000? And it says for dash cams, and then we can put in both of those blanks for up to $5,000 grant to assist in fire department dash cams. And if that's an okay way to word it, then I think we're fine, and I'll work with you on submitting it if you need my help before March 15th.
Mark.
We'll talk. Okay.
Is that the motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve, resolution 2025-05 for up to $5,000 for the fire department dash cams.
I'll support it. Ooh, and just for piece of information, with the assumption that this is not a matching grant.
Okay, with the assumption that this is not a matching grant.
Can it be the same resolution number for
Oh,
the supervisor?
so there should be
Supervisor should
06.
be 01,
Oh, okay.
2025-01.
I thought it was written 05 at the top, but okay.
I'm not sure.
I
did
I
put
think it was in
2024.
it was your
Oh, no,
handwriting.
it was 2024-01,
Yeah.
Okay.
so it should have been 2025-01.
Okay.
Then yes, I supported that.
We need a roll call after that.
Yeah, because we'll have to spend it
Yeah,
first before
first.
getting reimbursed.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Keith Wiederhold,
Yes.
Kevin Scramlin,
Yes.
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bills.
Yes.
Alright. Jumping on, K, discuss cable manager.
So it's the same exact idea, like just kind of information that we had and the kind of stuff that we tossed around, so whatever we need to change, modify. The projection, I think we had said was about $6,000 for the year in the budget.
I don't think we have anything from, there wasn't, I mean, I remember you showed me something earlier today, but I don't have any of it.
How do I have it?
I'm not sure, but.
Well, that's a great question, why don't I get you some copies, Laura? You make these copies.
Was that the thing at the end of the day?
Maybe, probably.
Probably, we had a lot on our plates today, so.
We can come back to it in just a minute. I'll skip here.
Yeah, we'll come back, keep
Yeah,
going.
discuss Groveland Township welcome sign and park sign. So in your packets, you should have gotten a rendering and a bid. So obviously the big sign is to replace the sign at Oak Hill and Dixie. And then the other is to fix the Forest Grove Park sign out here, which is, the plaque is still good, but it's falling apart. So, where did we go? So to fix the Groveland sign is $5,250. Actually, they showed me the urethane board that they would use. They're not gonna be wood like the old signs are.
Thank you.
Actually, it's beautiful.
Oh, I know.
It would really turn out nice. And then out here, he's gonna put in a metal post and actually he's gonna put a finial on top to dress it up. But anyway, that would take care of the, maintenance on that. So that one is $1,250. Any discussion, questions?
The one on Dixie, did it get hit?
They got taken out by a car,
Did you get insurance claim for it?
probably like 5 years ago.
Well, I can update that. So, I don't remember when the accident occurred that actually took out that sign, but I remembered we got this money in, and so Janelle and I looked it up today, and it was cash receipted on February 28th of 2023, and it was $5,550. It was put into the 206 ambulance line item. It was cash receipted and put into the fire department. So I believe at the time, there was a plan to replace that sign, and then we were gonna pay out that money to the person who fixed the sign. But it didn't get fixed. So we're still, here we are, and it's 2 years later, and we still need a sign. So the money is here, we've received the money, and it's been receipted, and I didn't have time probably to, but this is just a copy of the cash receipting that shows that it went into the ambulance line item. So the other thing that I was concerned about is that we've been very, we have a policy that we're supposed to get 3 bids. So I'm sure you're aware of that.
Oh, yeah.
And I like these bids, but I think that, we have to do our due, like we have to get, we at least have to see if we can find some more. But, I mean, I was encouraged that this bid for this sign did fit within that
Yeah.
dollar range that we've already gotten.
And I'll be honest, I contacted 4 sign companies a month ago. This is the one guy I've got to get back to.
Okay,
So I will call them again, but I guess they don't wanna sell signs. I don't know what else to tell you. But I can try if you wanna table it till next meeting.
you know, I mean, what's this turnaround time?
The biggest thing here is I think it does say in here, this proposal here is only valid for 2 weeks, and it's because of the urethane sheeting and the petroleum-based board. He told me that stuff goes up and down, more likely up with all the tariffs.
Cause of,
Go for about 9 years, no week maybe?
Yeah. So that's where we're at. But no, like I say, I've contacted 4 sign companies. This guy's local too, he's right here in
he is
Ortonville.
local,
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know, trustees, what do you guys
I was gonna say,
think?
Jim, what do you think?
Sorry.
Wake up, Jim.
No, it's not at all. I'm smirking for other reasons. I say we go ahead and do it.
I know what you're
It's
reading.
20% less, it's $1,000. We waited 5 years for it.
Well, we waited 2.5, but yeah, I get it, and I'm ready to pull the trigger and say yes. I just know that we've had this, you know, thing that we're pretty much sticklers about, making sure we have enough bids to compare. But knowing that you've called 4 places
I have.
and they haven't gotten back to you,
No.
you know, this is a really specialized thing, and it's,
And this guy, to be honest with you, has been great. He's been more than accommodating.
yeah,
So,
and I like to support local.
I do too.
Do you know, were they the ones that did them originally?
No, they were not. They did this sign out here,
Oh,
so.
Oh, they did this?
I guess they rebuilt it when they put the,
Oh.
message board and stuff on the
Okay.
bottom.
Okay.
Yep.
Any thoughts?
It doesn't seem out of line to me. I mean, it's hard when you can't compare it to others, but I know exactly what Kevin was talking about. I deal with that a lot too. People just can't get participation from.
Yeah, and I'm sure if you told me you wanted to put up $100,000 sign, you'd all be running out here, but it is what it is.
So would we be using this money that was already given to us from the insurance settlement to pay for this sign to replace the Groveland Township Drive Safely sign from, in front of Whiskey River.
If that original money went into that ambulance line, it's probably been spent over the years, so would it ultimately come out of general fund anyway at this point?
Well, that would be all completely up to us. I mean, this was the money that was intended for it. It got put into the ambulance fund 2 years ago. Is it still there? Is it spent? That's really, it's a,
And the only concern I would have there is that if, I don't know if we had that, I don't remember that item in our budget discussion, so it would be a net add.
I mean, my feeling is, to be honest with you, on that 5,500, I don't know what took place when they did that, but that's water under the bridge. They did it and it didn't get fixed. I don't wanna take money out of the ambulance for this sign.
I would
This
be
is what
very
we say.
surprised if that, during the audit process, stayed an ambulance.
you think that there was like an audit adjustment?
I feel like this would have been an easy one to make an adjustment on, considering it has nothing to do with ambulance.
Yeah, it says sign cost recovery near Whiskey River. I suppose we could look for that.
That's what I'm wondering, if maybe it would be, if we could track it down, if it's still, if it pocketed in here and it's just been lingering and you've been having fun with the $5,500. So we can find it, but yeah, I mean, the auditors, it's a possibility that this would have actually been moved back over to the general fund.
That makes sense.
But it could have stayed there because I think that there was some discussion about it being hand reconstructed.
Mm-hmm.
So, my personal recommendation would probably be to, first of all, see if we can track this down, if it did end up sitting in that. And if it didn't, then, and we don't have it currently allocated, we could take it out of capital outlay.
Sure.
Capital outlay of what? Fire township?
If it's not, if it has been moved, if it was moved, take it out of capital outlay. What do you think?
And if it's still sitting there?
Sorry, I'll get it back on. No.
That's up to the board, I suppose, just like you said.
Supervisor, what would you suggest?
Like I said, to me, it's water under the bridge. It really is. We have the money, we wanna put the signs back up. I don't feel like taking $5,500 out of the ambulance fund for it. That's the way I feel about it.
So do you wanna make a motion then?
Yeah,
I think people, I think we're pretty much in agreement that we
Sure.
can go ahead and do it, seeing as we're probably not likely to get any other bids.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we have MRJ sign, put up,
For the two,
Yeah,
for
two
both
separate
signs.
For both signs.
6,500.
yep, for both signs would be $6,500.
Paid for by,
What do you wanna take it out of? General fund, capital outlay?
that,
What do you think, Janelle?
Can I make a recommendation? Take it out of the chloride fund.
no, you can't make a recommendation. We just have to have it for the motion.
Yeah, I think we actually had a chunk allocated there in capital outlay that we haven't even touched it. Out of that capital outlay reserve.
Is that what you wanted?
Yeah, that's what I would recommend, but you were the one making this recommendation, right?
Well, I was trying to make life easy on you, as to what fun. Alright, so, like I say, MRJ signed for $6,500 to replace and repair, those two signs with the money to come out of capital outlay. That's my motion, I think. I'll second it. Lauren, I'll do the roll call, please.
Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yeah.
Keith Peterholt,
Yes.
Kevin Scramlin,
Yes.
and Janelle Kellogg.
Yes.
Alright, so, item M is the M15 Heritage Route. It's a $100 annual due. They basically promote commerce and stuff all the way from Clarkston to Saginaw.
I don't know if we've been a member of this before, have we been?
I think we have
Yeah.
been.
Anyway, it's $100. I'll make a motion that, we pay the $100 for the annual dues for the M15 Heritage Route. Support. I'll second that. Laura, you want to roll call that, please?
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Keith Weiderhold,
Yes.
Kevin Scramlin,
Yes.
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bills.
Yes.
Alright. Have a grant.
I am going to turn this over to Miss Laura.
Whoa.
Because she's been doing all the grunt work. Thank you very much.
No.
So this is a grant, through elections. You do have to spend the money by February 28th, so I'll just go ahead and start with that caveat. But I know that you've done the majority of the research, so go ahead and let them know.
Yes, thank you. So we can get up to $1,000 per precinct. Basically being able to use it towards any type of election supplies that we might need. Just going over and speaking with other deputy clerks actually in our surrounding communities. They did throw around a couple different ideas between walkie-talkies, access controls, ballot containers, even new computers. Just speaking with Janelle, Word is not going to be supported that we have on our laptops come October. We need to have updated Windows 11 or newer on them, so we were thinking of getting those for our poll books, as well as some additional ballot bags that range anywhere from $17 to $55 depending on the size or what we would need them for. And with early voting, it would be nice to have those extra bags if we need them, but most importantly, the laptops. I did get a quote about $712 for those laptops, so we would be able to have them provided for each of the precincts and then having the leftover for additional ballot bags. So that's where I'm at.
This is reimbursement.
This is a full grant, no matching funds, correct?
No.
Not correct?
I'm sorry, yes, you are correct. No.
Yeah, so it's an election grant that they're offering. You do, like I said, you have to spend the monies by February 28th. So they're offering up to $1,000 per precinct. We did have a question about whether our AV counting board was considered a precinct. Usually they do consider those a precinct. We don't need a poll book in the AV counting board because nobody's coming in and actually voting in here in person. However, the other 3 precincts, we do have those computers that, just like we talked about in the budget meeting, Windows, and this is just for everybody in case you didn't know that, the Windows operating systems, Windows 10, are no longer going to be provided updates or service or anything. So just like we had projected for potentially getting new computers in here, it was a recommendation from another clerk that maybe we consider that with these funds. And then, as Laura mentioned, the extra ballot bags are very helpful. We go through a lot of bags right now because of early voting. So every day you have basically a storage bag inside of another storage unit. So each day we are adding additional bags and bags and bags.
And the majority of them cannot be opened, so.
Right, and then they, don't get open for so long. We have to keep, so in busy election years, it's, oh my goodness, we're running out of bags.
Yeah.
So that was our thought with the excess funds. So if the board would entertain it, again, this is non-matching grant. We were hoping for up to 4,000, assuming that the AV County Board is considered an
Otherwise,
additional
you'll be at
precinct.
3.
Otherwise, it would be at 3 for us to purchase these computers and ballot bags.
So each precinct is 1,000.
Correct. Yep.
So we would need to spend $4,000 this week.
Within the next, 2 weeks, but yeah.
So that's your motion?
And then how long until the grant gets approved and all that, Is it like an automatic done deal? You just apply and the money is yours?
Yeah, I just have to provide the necessary paperwork, and then I believe both of you need to sign off of it, like how I have done for the other
Yeah.
previous grants. and submit the form off of our e-learning site.
And Laura has been phenomenal. Just a quick plug for my deputy clerk over here. She has been phenomenal lately. I'm sure Teresa has seen all of our deposits coming back in for reimbursements for
Oh, yes.
postage and, you know, the $10,000 election grant, and that is all the hard work of Laura, so I'm very grateful for all that you do,
Thank you.
including researching this grant.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So, yes, that would be my motion though, is for the board to support the purchase of 3 laptops and ballot bags up to 3 or 4, $4,000,
Let's say 4.
yeah. With the assumption that we would receive these monies back with this grant program, the HAVA grant.
I'll support it. Laura, you want a roll call?
Mm-hmm. Okey-dokey. Keith Peterhold,
Yes.
Kevin Scramlin,
Yes.
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher.
Yes.
Thank you.
Discussed. I should say.
Disgust,
It
that
is
sounds
discussed.
about right. Disgust.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. We did all get paperwork, didn't we? Go back to cable manager. Okay. Did you know?
There's, I mean, this is just kind of how I had mentioned before, this is the cable manager, position, it was a very similar situation that, I think originated, you know, many moons ago and kind of has transformed over the years. Not a lot of documentation for when and where our cable manager, you know, when they were working, what they were doing, so this actually provides a little bit more of a description for what those responsibilities could be. I went with a guesstimate for that hourly rate, but all of this is debatable, you know, there's no hill that I'm dying on here.
Sure. So oh, okay, I'm sorry. No, I wasn't written down, the 25 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is a job that has really changed, and with the girls gonna do some of it. I like the job description, and to be honest with you, it might be a bridge we cross, depending on what happens, that maybe we go forward without a cable major at some point, it may come to that. But for now, I think this job description is a good.
I think the job description does a good job, yeah.
I do think, and I don't know where, you know, Vinny is with this, but it was discussed that the 4 hours could be difficult. I don't know where we're at with the 4 hours per week, excuse me, but, it sounds like maybe that might be a challenge for our current cable manager.
Well, and it might be a I'm not sure, it depends on who you get. If you get a kid from the high school, you know,
Right.
they're not gonna be able to get here. Yeah, I don't know if 4, I don't know, maybe average of 4, maybe 3 hours, 5 hours, I don't know.
Well, it is a work in progress.
Hmm?
I mean, we can adjust it if
Yeah,
we need
you
to.
know, here's the thing, I think the previous cable manager was on a regular, not Vinny, but Brent, when he was here on Wednesday afternoons for about 2 hours. And then he did the rest of everything from pretty much home.
Okay.
Now, things have changed, technology's changed, and processes have changed. So the only thing I kind of been like, is the 4 might be difficult for somebody to commit to if they're a student or have another job. I mean, this obviously is not a job that's going to pay somebody's, you know, all their bills. It would be a,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I'm doing this also kind of job. So we'd have to work around somebody's schedule, and since we close at 4, 3 days a week, it kind of pigeonholes them into Wednesday evenings, so, I would probably be, I think maybe if we changed it to 3 hours in the office,
Or, I mean, it could even be like hours
It could be 2,
flexible.
like
Yeah,
The code
I was gonna say, you
Code
could go to
enforcement has
code
that.
enforcement
is,
too.
is that, do we have people coming in looking for a cable manager?
No, no. I mean, No.
2 hours would probably be fine, then it could be a Wednesday, like you said, on the late night.
or it could be a set hour that we require per month, you know, or not. I mean, I guess somehow we have to figure out the hours because
Because it
that's
may
what
not,
ends up.
ultimately, may not be necessary.
That puts us right back to the sick time.
Yeah, but if if we're an hourly rate, then that looks different.
Well, that's true too.
What are you thinking, Jim?
Well, I think I was with Keith on this, and that if we don't have community members relying on an audience at a set time, person can set his hours as they wish, rather, as long as it's logged. I think we're fine with that. I also think some of this may get, some of this workload may get distributed to the administrative staff
Well,
as
we did
well.
talk about that,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I'm okay with this as it is. I do have a technical question if anyone knows, just kind of curious. Can the sign be updated from afar? Do you have to be here using equipment, or can you use your phone to update the sign outside? Anybody know?
the software that's on the computer here
Uh-huh,
is, you have to be on the computer here to use it.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that there's not software that exists out there somewhere,
I just kinda wanted to know. Sure.
but we don't have that software, right?
In general, I think this is okay.
With the 4 hours a week required
Yeah,
in office,
yeah.
okay.
I'm willing, listen, I mean, I've heard what we said.
Yeah, I think 4 is a bit much to ask, but,
So,
I mean,
not
because-
that I'm recanting, I'm okay with anything that gets the job done.
Yeah.
I just really,
yeah. I like your idea of making it about the same as the ordinance officer's requirements, and maybe we can say 2 to 4.
2 to 4 hours required into a township office weekly?
Yeah, give him a range, give him or her a range.
Okay.
And then as we see how much is actually, you know, required, we can sort of tweak it, but
Oh, yeah.
And then stick with the hourly rate there?
yep, I'm fine with the hourly rate. I mean, yeah, I still, I don't know, I mean, the ordinance officer is gonna be making 24. But I know we talked about this in the budget meeting, and, so I do think that this is, depending on, you know, if the cable manager is going to be, managing the website and doing some things like that that require some skills, so to speak. I mean, I think you can't hire a web person for $20 an hour, but I don't know. That seems like a low wage to me, but I know we've talked about this, so I'm gonna be okay with it if we get somebody to work this job for this, and that person does a good job of it, then great. And if we can't seem to, or it seems to be a problem, and we're like, well, we need somebody better, we might need to pay them more, you know, I guess we can cross that bridge when we get to it.
Do we have a person in this role now?
Vinny is in this role right
And
now.
that's, is that his rate?
No,
No.
but we have to change it because of the,
hours.
sick time thing, yeah.
Any motion?
We should probably make it his rate, but then is his rate a salary?
His rate was salary, just like that, yeah, like the ordinance officer was, so.
Motion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm done.
Yeah, we're done, so are we changing it to 2 to 4 hours a week?
Yep.
That's the only change we're making on this?
As far as I've heard.
Okay,
To be effective February 21?
It'll have to be to go with your sit down.
yeah, we should make it effective the same time,
Yeah,
Sick
I don't
time
know.
thing.
Yeah.
make the motion that we accept the job description for cable manager, with the modification of 2 to 4 hours, effective, February 21st.
I'll second. Alright, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
We should probably,
Means already approved though.
yeah, but we've actually effectively changed the number,
You want a roll call?
probably.
Alright.
Just thinking. Sorry, Laura.
Kevin Scramlin,
Yes.
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Keith Weiderhold.
Yes.
Discuss ESTA, the Earned Sick Time Act. Janelle, you want to take it?
Not really.
I know.
So this is like the ugly beast that has arisen. So right now, currently, the Earned Sick Time Act is set to go into effect February 21st, 2025. And for anyone who is interested, there is a little description, a blurb here, but the gist of it is beginning February 21, so far. Now legislation is up in the air still, but as of February 21, full-time, part-time employees will all be eligible for earning 1 hour for every 30 hours worked of sick time. And this is to include, so far, our part-time fire department, our election inspectors, pretty much everybody across the board. So we were trying to figure out how to make sure that we were compliant with this, to make sure that we were allowing and permitting enough hours sick time according to what our current policy is. So what you have in front of you somewhere is a projection, idea, hope that if this does go into effect on the 21st, that this is something that we can work with, at least until something changes, if it ever changes. So what you're looking at here is to keep consistent with the fire department, and John, I did actually end up lumping them, but kept the same amount and turned it to hours. So you let me know if that's not okay. So we kind of talked earlier about personal and sick days. So instead of keeping the 2 and the 5 separate, I lumped them into 1, which ends up being 168 hours. Is that what you worked with before?
Yeah.
Is that the number? So this now has all shifted into hours instead of days, which truthfully they, with the Earned Sick Time Act, can use hours. There are a lot of changes with this. People can no call, no show for up to, really it's on the 4th day that you can even call and find out where they are, what they're doing, why have they not come in. I know, I'm telling you, it's ugly. That's what I said, it's ugly. So you can kind of see what I have recommended as a replacement policy for now. And then we would have an official HR company, if necessary, kind of tweak any language that's needed. But basically what this does is it lumps personal and sick time together for both township and fire department. It permits 168 hours for our full-time fire. For any part-time staff, this is for both township or fire, their earned sick time will be on an accrual basis. So they have to work the amount of hours to get the time off. For both fire and township, they would be front-loaded once the employee has hit their, that new fiscal year and they're out of their temporary window or training window, whatever we call it. What else do I have here? To assure compliance, we would just need to be doing a check-in kind of regularly, maybe quarterly or every 6 months, to make sure that employees have not earned more than those allocated hours. With my math, which may not be perfect, I think that this sets us up pretty well. Like I said, the 168 hours is what was already in there, and it was covering what they had. The 48 hours for township, I know that sounds like there's a really big difference there, and that's because they work 24-hour shifts, whereas we're working like maybe 6 hours, 7-hour day, but with lunch, they're only actually working 6. So that's why those numbers look a little different. For our inspectors, building, mechanical, and electrical, we do have to keep track of their sick time with the an assumption that each inspection will be 30 minutes of time. That is up to the board to decide. If they think that that's different, we can certainly talk about it. Ordinance officer sick time will be based on that projection of 8 hours per week. I did not include cable manager here because I know initially when we had talked about it actually being hourly, so we would have those set hours. So that would be accrual based, same thing as all of these other part-time employees. This would still be in addition to vacation. Sick time, as many hours as they earn, is rolled over into the next year indefinitely. However, they do have a max of 72 hours that they can use in any fiscal year. Sick time is not paid out. Questions on any of this? Thoughts?
That's a mess.
It seems silly that you can accrue more than 72 hours and then you just can't use it, can't pay it out, what's the point?
I know, I don't understand it either. Oh, the board has the option of giving them more than that.
We're not doing that.
So I did include just a sample employee policy that kind of describes a lot of what I just covered, but
Sure.
the rules behind it. So my recommendation would be that we adopt what is listed here with the assumption that this will take effect on February 21. If it does not, the reality is we may need to be either be looking at a special meeting if they modify it, or we can, in a motion, we can vote to implement what actually applies or is necessary per law. That's up to us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at this point, we should probably implement what they gave us, right?
Yeah.
We won't meet again before it takes effect.
So that's what we can make in the motion, with the assumption that this will take effect. And if it doesn't take effect, then we don't have to do all of this work that I did.
Well, I think you did a great job, and I think we should support this. And if you are like totally understanding the wording of it, if you would make that motion with the contingency in it.
Sure.
And put that, if you could articulate that,
Yeah.
that would be great.
So I motion that we accept the proposed amendment to our personal and sick time policies with the understanding that the ESTA will take effect February 21st. If it does not, then this content, hold that thought, don't write that. Let me amend my language. Yeah, we'll just go with that. I was gonna try to be really fancy.
Or this motion will be null and void.
Yeah, that's actually exactly what I was going to say.
That
If it does not go into effect, then this will be null and void. But we could also, we could consider accepting what is law.
Sure.
Well, but I kinda like the idea of if it doesn't, but they're gonna tweak it, they're gonna
I
change it.
know.
So,
This could still all be in effect. I mean,
we could, unless they change the law or amend the law, in which case we reserve the right to come back and revisit this.
correct. If the law is not, if the present law does not go into effect February 21, we reserve the right to amend this policy, which we always have. But
All the townships.
at least we have something in place for
Right,
if nothing changes. And truthfully, they could continue to
right.
beat it around for a few weeks.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they could be next February, by the time you do it.
So Laura, do you have that?
Oh, I have it, yes.
So Laura.
All of my mumblings and everything.
Yeah, I'm gonna tweak it, but yes.
Alright, I will support that. Mumbo jumbo.
But I know exactly what you're saying.
I'm sorry.
Roll call, right?
There's,
No.
no,
No.
just, okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, Janelle. Good work on
I'm
that.
sorry for the mumblings. It's a mess. That whole thing is just an ugly mess.
No, you did a great job. Great job. Discuss citizens progress edition, since we have the man of the paper right here. Go ahead, David. We'll put you on, I'm gonna put you on the spot. You get to sit there all night.
That's our,
Do you want visual aids?
You guys join us in our largest business section we have to the year, and it will be for your industrial park. To get the word out that that's available. We'd love to have you there. I think every year we do that, it's pretty popular.
It's a full page in progress. What I thought, I like this, but I also think that, you know, since we do have a new supervisor, new trustee, new fire chief, we can highlight that
Absolutely,
in it as well,
Yeah.
so.
absolutely.
Are you photogenic, John?
Anything but.
Fame will follow.
So,
Thank you.
is the price in here?
It's right
It
there.
is. Full page, $816.
Okay,
Half page, $595.
what is that considered a full page?
This is a full page because we have the Mines of Oakland on there in the bottom.
Okay, are we good with that? Do we wanna do the same thing?
I'm good with it.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm
with
not
whatever you
partial
wanna
either
do.
way.
Oh, yeah, I'm not partial either way either. I'm right with the new.
I mean,
Teresa's right
do you
with
think
the
this
new
is still
photos.
helpful?
Dave, can you write the whole page if we don't have anything?
Absolutely, whatever you guys need, we have to
Okay.
work with.
Okay,
Well, we'll work with
We
it
could do
then.
a little blurb on the fire department.
We could.
Sure.
I mean, it could be like,
how long do we have to get this in?
Noon tomorrow, I'm just kidding.
March 3rd.
Yeah.
March 3rd.
Yeah, I'll come over and have coffee with you and we'll figure it out.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we purchase a full page ad for $816 to be put in all four publications of the Progress 2025 through the View newspaper group.
You know, I would, if I could suggest, you could have a team picture in there too.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, we will.
Have Patrick come out.
Before we go forward on that, what's the difference in this one? The answer book?
Yeah, that, I don't work in that, but that one, has, if you, it has every community, you guys, like townships, the village of Goodrich, Alice Township, Brandon, all their fire departments, all the services, the senior centers, cancer.
I see.
And it talks a little bit about the community. A lot of times I believe with those, when we get new people in the community, it tells them how to pay their taxes or whatever.
Yeah, this is like local information,
Yeah.
whereas
Green
the other
Space
one is
Center,
like, hey, let me tell you what's new.
Right, and then it also, I think there's a section in there that, you will update like where the parks are here in town, you know, here in the communities, where they can ski, they can
Oh, gotcha, okay.
is all that information. It's just surprising that if, people when they come here, they don't know a lot. You think it's like where the library is, in any of the communities or who their representatives are. If you're local government. It's quite popular.
So they're published around the same time,
I think so, yeah.
but two separate publications.
That would be correct.
What's the cost of that?
So this one is full is $714, and they have half, quarter, eighth.
Right, that one, they're both, full circulation, so they go to all the homes. And then throughout the year, people keep those as they do with the Progress Edition. And so if they're ever looking for anything, in the community, like, they have it available to them.
What they're due at the same time, or closed?
They're published.
Is this a new one? Is this a new publication, or has this been out a
Teresa,
while?
I think, I don't usually work on it, but, I believe it was
This one
about
goes
3
out.
years now, I think.
Okay,
we had it.
cause I was gonna say, I don't recall us
3-1.
doing
Never
this.
seen.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't.
I think it's more of like an informational
Right.
booklet that you could have for villages, community, so this you can kind of see, this has who's the Brandon Township, who are the officials, Groveland, Atlas, map, I don't know.
that is, it's felt, when people are new to the community, they take them with them. And it's just once both of them are just once a year. And then we have them in the office for them, but it's circulated in all the papers. It's surprisingly effective, we get a good response from them, we do.
So, yeah, sorry guys, when I printed that for myself, thinking that it was the one that was already in here, but I realized as we were sitting here, that was something separate.
Gotcha.
So this publication is already all about everything, and so if we did something, we could just do like a small ad, just to say Groveland, cause we're already gonna be in the book.
We do have it, and like Keith will be, maybe he's new this year, so that'll all be updated.
Yeah.
We get a lot of response from them, because people keep them around to keep them handy, and they, it's a good time.
Okay, so the deadline is, the 13th, that's what it says, 13th, so Thursday.
It looks like that one actually does publish a little bit earlier than the other one.
Okay, well, maybe we just do an eighth of a page, you know.
Eric, say what you did last year?
I don't know that we did this.
No, I don't remember. I don't remember doing that.
Did you see it? What's it called?
Answer book?
Yeah, I don't remember ever
I
talking
don't
about
remember
this.
getting one at home, so that's what I thought it was.
See what he said.
You call me?
No, but he sent this in an email. I thought I would look right.
Well, eighth of a page is 142, a quarter is 220. Maybe we can say, let's go up to a quarter of a page.
Yeah, I'd say do
I think,
quarter.
I mean, if it exists and a lot of people use it, like you're saying, then,
So this is a magazine format?
It is.
Okay, so this is more magazine.
Yeah, I think it's stapled.
would someone be able to work with us to get
Absolutely.
something, you know?
Yep.
Okay.
You wanna make a motion, Teresa?
Well, I think we actually have a motion on the floor already for this one,
Oh, I'm sorry.
don't we?
Did you make one?
Yeah.
For the
we
full
make
page?
Yeah, I just
did,
don't
and
have a
Keith
sec-
supported.
Oh,
Keith
So-
supported? Let's do a roll call on that then first, Laura.
okay, Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Keith Wiederholt,
Yes.
Kevin Scrammer,
Yes.
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bills.
Yes.
And then on the answer book,
Mm-hmm.
I'll make a motion, we do a quarter of a page at $220.
Support.
You wanna roll call that too, please, Laura?
Keith Wiederholt,
Yes.
Kevin Scrammer,
Yes.
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher.
Yes. I brought up, an answer book from Sanilac County, and before we commit to a quarter of a page, actually, this is somewhat informative. One of the,
Yeah, Satellite, I think Satellite is one of our papers.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cause that's over like.
it's got a little bit of history, to Dave's
Airport
point.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying what I see here. Regarding Brown City, it talks a little bit of some of the ongoings from here. Brown City has an industrial park, a library, a downtown, and a park. A little bit of history, and please hold. You know, a few other things. I realize it's a money thing, it might be worthwhile to have a significant amount of content in here. I mean, if you guys wanna see it, we pass the laptop around or I'll throw it up there, but quarter page may not do it justice, that's all I'm trying to say.
Well, you can amend it if you want to half a page.
I think a half page would be better, you guys, I really do.
You wanna make that amendment, Jim?
That was what was actually originally said, I'm sure of it.
Okay, I'm with you.
So,
But we better have.
however we administratively handle that, I think a half page would be better suited.
And what was the amount for that?
That amount was $379.
I'll support it. You can roll call us again, Laura.
I'll send this to you guys this email.
Thank you.
So I believe in those, if I could, so I think all the history of the township is in there too, like in the very beginning. And then also, it takes in your parks and the state land is talked about. A lot of the effectiveness of that is, like I said, when we have new people in the community, our DDA and everyone else passes those out. And the biggest thing is if people wanna come and, you know, how do I get a license for my dog or whatever?
Yeah.
It's there.
Information.
Yeah,
Thank you, Dave.
thank you guys.
Yeah,
Appreciate you guys. And I'll come out and, work with you to get that, the progress story rolling.
Sure.
So I'll give you a couple days notice on the photo. We'll have a photo shoot here.
All right.
Okay.
How's that?
Sounds great.
Thanks you guys, I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate you.
We did have a few budget items to discuss. I know one that came through was tri-party. I think we had $60,000 allocated for it. And we're gonna end up just a touch over that at, 65,573. So that's, 21,858 put in by us, road commission and the county. So we were a little bit low on that one. What else did you have, Janelle? I know
Yeah, so this, I've tried to keep this short here, was just that since our budget meeting, there are a few items that they need some modifications before it comes to the board next month. And tri-party was one, those funds were a little bit more, not much, but like $4,000, $5,000 more.
Yeah.
So like on the revenue side, we
Both.
have more coming in, more
Both,
going out.
yeah.
Okay.
So tri-party is kind of a joint venture, if you will, between us, road commission, and Oakland County for the roads. And yeah, so it's about $5,000 difference. So that will be reflected in the budget when you bring it to adoption for next month. Also, I may tweak the elections numbers a little bit. I was gonna reserve this for my clerk report, but it is very likely that in November we will see an election. So it sounds like possibly Holly, Brandon, and Goodrich may all be on that ballot, in case that wasn't news to you.
I have over, yeah.
You've heard it in
I have heard.
So,
It's off the record right at this moment.
what was that?
It's off the record right now.
They didn't tell me it was off the record. So anyway, it looks like we may have an election that we did not originally anticipate, so, I'm just gonna kinda look at those election numbers and as necessary, maybe make some tweaks, just to make sure that's accurate in the budget. What you should have in your packet is also a proposed new HRA policy. If you recall, we have kind of struggled with what qualifies as dependents. Do they qualify until they're 26? There used to be laws that really guided this, and there still are when it comes to actual insurance plans, but we do not have that here. We have an HRA instead. So, in speaking to multiple people, the final information that kind of came up with was that it was possible for the board to draft their own parameters for what to qualify, as eligible for any type of dependent funding. So whether it was a parent and a child, like a single parent and a child, or family. So this was what I had pulled together. Again, kind of had some conversations here and there, thoughts, whatever, but essentially what we ended up thinking, what I thought ended up thinking was that, and again, this was with conversations, here and there, but Employees will be eligible for dependent or family HRA funding until their dependents reach their 26th birthday. So that is actually part of the current law with insurance plans, with the understanding, so this is the caveat for our insurance policy, or our HRA proposed, is that their dependent must remain on the employee's health insurance plan. So in other words, if you still have a child that you have on your insurance plan up until the age of 26, and we will go ahead and cover it. So it does mimic what insurance plans do, but we also have the caveat and the requirement that you do need to show us that you are paying for your children's health insurance. We ran into some very gray areas this past year with some employees who had 24-year-old, maybe 23-year-old children, but weren't even on their policies, but we had to figure out whether or not to fund them as a, family or dependent. So this would be the possible solution, open to any thoughts. And of course, requirements that if any changes occur, Groveland is notified within 30 days.
I know Janelle's put a lot of work in on it, we've all talked about it, I think it's the fairest solution. I do, we're not denying anybody insurance, but if,
Right.
if you don't need it, you don't need it, and it's something the township doesn't have to pay for. That's my take on it.
So the biggest item is, we need that whoever's taking, the way it's coming out, advantage of this, has got to show proof positive that they're spending the money.
Exactly, and actually we put it in the policy really that it's anybody, so it's me, I need to show you that yes, I'm paying for, I don't have an ex-husband, but like my ex-husband isn't, paying for my children and I'm just taking the money and pocketing it. So, yeah.
That's a
Sound
good
like a
idea.
plan? So we will, that is a potential modification to the budget. I forget how we had gone with yours. Yours we accounted for with multiple, okay?
Yes.
And then I think, I'll have to look and see. My point here is that if we accept this, and I would, we'll have to motion this in a moment, that could potentially be a difference in our proposed budget because of what we have allocated toward HRA funds for this next fiscal year.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then the last thing here, and Chief Williams, you're welcome to kind of give a brief synopsis if you will, but we suspect that there will be a few modifications to that fire budget as well, but this is probably a good time if you want to just kind of throw those out there.
Okay. They don't have a,
No, I don't have any numbers to show them, it's more just know that it's present.
okay, yeah, the modification would be the request to give some of the full-time staff a 3% raise. Would be Sergeant Holt, Sergeant Millar, and Dobbs, Sean Dobbs. Bruder was just hired, so his pay accounted for that. So I want to increase their pay 3% across the board, and I accounted for the overages and the MERS and the potential HRA increase. Don't know if that had gone through or not. Did you want me to give the line items?
You already sent it to me, so I know them, but if you wanna tell them, it's MERS, HRA, and then payroll services, or no, that won't be any different.
The Social Security.
Social Security.
and,
Payroll tax.
income tax
Yeah,
would increase. So I didn't write the total budget plan down on here. It was, the total for doing that was, I think it was around $9,000 for the whole package to go those three at 3% increase.
Okay.
so those will be,
In the
know,
budget.
whittled in for the budget, which will again come to the board for public hearing in March.
On the HRA, we probably should make a motion to accept that by itself.
Yes.
I will make a motion that we accept the new proposed HRA policy pertaining to dependents, the way it is written.
To be effective April 1st.
Yes.
To be effective April 1st, 2025.
Yep.
I'll support.
You want a roll call this, please?
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Keith Wiederhold,
Yes.
Kevin Scramlin,
Yes.
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bells.
Yes.
Can we group the rest of them together? The
There was so
tri-party
much
and the
things.
elections, cause they're gonna be,
Oh yeah, those ones are already good. The HRA is the only thing we actually have to
Oh, yeah,
approve, the
yeah.
rest of it, that was more just,
Informational.
informational, so that you know that will be different from what, was discussed in the
Yeah.
budget meeting.
Okay.
Cause nothing's actually approved until the budget meeting.
fire department website.
This is just real quick and short and sweet, hopefully. Sean Dobbs is not the most recent hire, but I think,
Kyle Bruder.
yes, Kyle is. So Sean was hired, when was he hired? 6 months ago, full time?
Dodge?
Yeah. It's been longer than that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been here a while, but anyway, so he has been working on development of the website. That's been in front of the board a couple of times, and we had talked about, what that should or could look like. So he and I, sat down and kind of got an idea of what that could look like with, the Shoemaker Technology Group, who hosts our website. And, this Adam gentleman who you see in front of you here, came up with an estimate, said it would probably be about 3 to 6 hours to put like a wing for the fire department on our website so that we could be one cohesive unit instead of, having like random information out here. This also would be part of that process of permitting Sean to have access to update that part of the website, as necessary for the fire department.
Sure.
Again, there's a cost here estimate of about $250 to $500. So if we wanted to go ahead and pursue that, then we would
Sure.
need to prove that.
I'll make a motion, we approve, Shoemaker. For the upgrades on the fire department, up to $500 for the fire department website. I'll second it.
That coming out of internet.
Yeah, I would think so. Laura, you want a roll call, please?
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bells,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Keith Wiederhold,
Yes.
Kevin Scramlin.
Yes. Alright, that finishes our new business finally. Holly, are you youth assistants? I'm sure you went to the meetings,
You know what, I actually was going to try to go to their meeting. I think the last one they ended up having to move because of something. But they didn't meet in December, they did meet just, in January 28th, so not too long ago. But I don't, because it wasn't that long ago, I have no minutes to reflect that. I can tell you, however, that, in the month of November, they had 2 Groveland Township residents that they are children that they were able to assist. In December was 6, and in 2024 there was a total of 36 children.
From Groveland.
From Groveland, just Groveland, yes. They will have their next meeting on February 24th at 3:30, and they are currently working on Blessings in a Backpack. I'm sorry, it is now called Fueling Kids Futures. It used to be called Blessings in a Backpack, but kind of get the idea that it's very similar. Why they changed it, I have no idea. But they are working on packing those bags for about 400 Holly students. And they're able to take home food for 2 breakfasts and 2 lunches over the weekend. I did let them know that we would try to have someone present at some of the meetings occasionally. It is acceptable even if it is not one of us, even if we have an employee who may want to attend occasionally, but maybe we can try to.
Where do they meet at? They meet at the library or they meet
Yes,
somewhere?
they are meeting at the library, and they are not meeting this next Monday, because it's President's Day,
Sure.
so they moved it to the 24th.
Daytime or nighttime?
3:30 in the afternoon, I assume. I don't think the morning would be the best time.
Thank
So
you,
that is all I have for them.
thank you. Teresa, Brandon,
So Brandon Groveland Youth Assistance meets tomorrow. A couple things, the high school is doing their musical this year. The spring musical will be High School Musical, so if you like musicals, that's probably gonna be a good one. And then, let's see, they have an attendance committee to reduce the number of school truancies at the high school. They're doing a school expo this week, February 12th, 4:30 to 8. And I don't know exactly where that's gonna be held, but I'm suspecting it's at the high school, but.
Is that for the to open up the high school to everybody?
Yeah.
They moved it because of the Wednesday night snowstorm.
Okay, so do they change, do you know the new date? I wondered about that.
I'm not sure.
Okay, I would say if you're interested in going to the Brandon Schools, expo, check their Facebook page. That's
a
probably
good idea.
the best way to
I
do
know
it,
that
right?
Chancellor just said, I heard Shelby told you said,
Yeah,
which makes sense.
totally. The BGYA approved their budget for 2025, and they've got Love and Logic coming up in March. It's a one-day, one-evening thing where, they've gotten really good reviews on that. If you're interested, call the Brandon Library. And then the sponsor breakfast, which everybody got an invite to, that is at the iTech Center on March 13th, 7:30 in the morning. Judge Lisa Gorsica is going to be the speaker. She's a family court judge through Oakland County. And that's pretty much everything, I think. Yeah. The youth recognition night is April 24th, and right now is the nomination time is open until March 7th for recognizing and nominating students who've done something to rise above as a volunteer in 2024. So the nomination forms are available online, or you can get them through this office here in Groveland, or you can get them through Brandon's office, the Township, or Brandon Library, or the school district. That's it.
Teresa, it's 4:30, February 19th.
February 19th, so they moved it up a week.
Move it up.
To the school expo is moved up from the 12th to the 19th due to the snowstorm.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Jim, Planning Commission?
Yeah, Planning Commission met on January 22nd. It was a rather productive meeting, many things were discussed. The key points, for this upcoming year, Jeff Penzine will remain the chairperson, Angela Willis is the vice chair, and David Newbill is the recording secretary. Subjectively and personally, I'm very impressed with Caitlin as our planner. She's on it, she's informative, she's very proactive. To that point, she intends to make public, for lack of better words, a public comment guidelines, so that when we have debates in large meetings, that there'll be some manner of guidelines and decorum that in theory will be followed. It'll be made available to anybody that comes in at any time. I'm sure once it's completed, we'll put it on our website, but it'll give the Planning Commission, probably for that matter, even this board, the opportunity to say, hey, you know what, this is not new. This is how we're gonna conduct our behaviors. Motion, we came up with a $10,000 budget, which we talked about earlier in this meeting. The board is making the recommendation to this board that it be accepted. We are also already discussed, the planner put together 2024 annual report, very well received. And goals for 2025, which also were part of that report, will include more research leading to perhaps revised ordinances for accessory buildings, ponds, commercial solar facilities, Airbnbs, and shipping containers. You know, these are all somewhat current topics that come before both the Planning Commission and the Zoning Board of Appeals. And that is really, those are really the key points.
Thank you, Jim. ZBA, I don't believe they met.
Keith? You
Keith?
got anything?
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet, huh? Well, we'll let you off the hook then, Keith. Supervisor report, so obviously in January, we had our budget workshop, which I thought went very well. Work on the fire station and MSP post, we're still hoping that'll be done in June. The power is supposed to be in there by the end of next week, so that will move it forward faster. And also, I did get good news, they kept saying they weren't gonna be able to put the gas line in until spring. They changed something and said they're gonna do it this month, so that'll help. MDOT meeting in Pontiac talked about the Grange Hall roundabouts. They're gonna put in 2027. And actually, I think it'll be good. It'll actually probably alleviate a lot of the traffic over there when they're stuck out on 75 trying to get off. So that's a good thing. Chamber of Commerce breakfast for North Oakland Regional was in Holly. That was good. I think there's one, is it the 20th of February?
Yeah, there's one at the Brandon Township Library.
Is that the 20th?
It's the 20th, that's
Yeah.
both of them combined, and then that next Friday, back at the Villagers is 7:30.
Yeah, no. For those that are always wondering, we did receive 2 letters from Vesper, one in January and one here just last week. For lack of better words, the first one basically will tell you that Vesper will work with us until they can't. And the second one was on their sitting, how they decided to get their site. It's very vague. Both letters are very vague. Anybody's more than welcome to come up and read them. So we're still working with them, trying to get some information. That's really where they're at. We did the tri-party program. Something that we had talked about maybe to speed these meetings up a little bit, you can help me on this if I'm wrong, is we've talked about maybe putting back in a consent agenda, which I guess this township did years ago. But when I say that, in my mind, a consent agenda, we would be putting in the smaller items like the M15 deal. Some of these $150, $200 ones we could lump into a consent agenda. And if we pass that, we wouldn't have to discuss each one of them individually. Now, that being said, if there's something in there that any board member wants pulled out, we can pull it back out and put it by itself as a line item in new business. But it's something I wanted everybody to think about. I don't know if we necessarily need to pass anything on it at this time, but it is something I wanted to mention.
Okay.
And the other thing, and we will put it probably on the website, I just got it the other day. I don't know what I did with it. There's an open house for, basically the plan, the future of Woodward Avenue in Pontiac. It's open or virtual. February 18th, it's in person. February 20th, it's online from 4 to 6. For you of those that don't know, they're gonna take Wide Track out in Pontiac. They're gonna spend like $400 million down there. So, anybody that wants any information, that open house will be available. That's all I got.
We should put that on
Go
the
both ways.
township door.
Oh, cause it's one of
Janelle?
I think that I've kind of covered a lot. First of all, welcome Keith, excited to have you up
Oh,
here.
one more thing. I'm
Yes.
sorry. I did want to say, that earned sick time, I don't think most people realize how much work that made. These two have done a ton of work. Everybody has, and I really appreciate the amount of effort that you guys put into it. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I think I've kind of touched on everything. Election likely in November I think there's an election in November. It's just, is it going to be all 3 schools? Is it gonna be 1 school, 2 schools? But so far, it sounds like all 3 are definitely entertaining something on the ballot. Next month, March 9th, the Appropriation Acts and public hearing will be present for the budget. I already mentioned that as well. And then the last thing really that I have for informational is Just a reminder that next month I will be at Basic Institute for, that clerk's training program. So I actually will not be at the meeting itself.
Did we approve that? Thank
I'll
you.
make sure you have everything you
It was
need.
coming to that, right?
Huh?
It was coming to that, right?
No, you're gonna run next month's meeting.
You sit right here.
I was gonna say, come on up here.
As
sit
long as
down.
I get
You
to
just-
hit
you
the
just
gavel,
come
it'll be good.
You can have.
Scare everybody.
Teresa?
Okay, so, March Board of Review, well, first I should mention, everybody should be receiving their notice of assessment. I know a couple people have come in already to the township and showed me theirs and asked questions about it, so that tells me mine's probably in my mailbox. Those are super important that you take a look at those notices of assessment. They compare the 2024 taxes to the 2025 taxes. They tell you if you have a principal residence exemption. They tell you about how much your taxes are going to increase. Not how much they're going to be, but how much they're going to go up. And it should be 3.1% unless there's been some improvement or change to your property. So when you get that notice of assessment, at the bottom of it, there's a way to contact the assessor if you want to appeal. And I encourage you to appeal if you have a concern about your assessment, especially if you're a new owner in the in the township. The March Board of Review is for hearing valuation appeals. It takes place right in this room, and it's going to be on March 10th and 12th, which is a Monday and a Wednesday. So this time, instead of meeting on the first Tuesday and having appointments, they're just meeting for an informational session for the 3 members of the Board of Review. And then they're going to hear appeals on Monday and Wednesday, March 10th and 12th. There was some Michigan unclaimed property that was on the Michigan Unclaimed Property website. So I went there, it was brought to our attention on the MTA Insights weekly update, and discovered that Groveland Township had some unclaimed property. It was actually $1,072 from a 2012 Bank of America settlement. And so here's 2024 or 25, and it took 13 years to settle. But we are getting $1,072 from that. So the paperwork's been printed. It's just that we need to submit it still. We've had so much on our plate, we haven't submitted the rest of it yet, but we'll get to that. Then last month we approved that both Kevin and I could go to the MTA annual conference. However, I have decided that, much as I'd love to spend that week with you, I'm not going to go to that. You can have that hotel room.
Is that
And,
what she mentioned at the beginning?
Yes, well, I wanted it clarified that it was 2 separate things, but I decided not to go to that. Instead, I'm going to go to the Capitol Conference, which takes place on March 4th. It's a 1-day thing in Lansing. And so, I did talk to Kevin about the session or sessions that I was interested in at the one in Grand Rapids, and he's going to do his best to cover, all that, to go to all the sessions and report back. So, and then the last thing I want to mention is that taxes are payable through Tuesday the 18th of February. So the 14th is a Friday, we're not open on Fridays. We will be open on Friday the 28th for tax purposes. That is a by law tax day that must be available to the public. So Angela and I will be here on Friday the 28th of February, but we will not be here on this Friday. Instead, well, we have President's Day where we're closed on Monday, and we will be here Tuesday. So any tax payments that are paid through Tuesday the 18th will be considered on time. And that's that. Okay?
Thank you. All right, we will open it up for public comment. We're looking at you. Go ahead,
The
Dave.
budget meeting, is that part of the Monday night monthly board meeting?
In March, yes.
In March, so the next meeting will be budget stuff.
Yep.
Okay. The second question I had, I forgot to ask it last time. What road in our township will be paid next if that event ever happens.
The last time I heard, and this was Bob telling me, I have not seen anything on
Yeah.
it, was the first mile of Wildwood Road, traffic count wise.
Wildwood, like from Greenchaw,
Nope, from Dixie,
Dixie,
basically down to Bald Eagle Lake
Are
Road.
you serious?
so why wouldn't they have finished the job that they started 10 years ago on Oak Hill, where they went to Kai Road and stopped?
They do it all on traffic counts.
Oh, they do?
Yeah,
Oh,
and since I've lived there my whole life, I can tell you cannot believe how many cars do not make the left-hand turn on Oak Hill Road, how many of them continue down Kyer. So when you head back north on Oak Hill Road, that traffic count really diminishes.
okay.
And the split right there.
So Bob once told me that the county pays 1 mile per year for the whole county.
For the whole county.
So that might be, Wildwood might not get paid that 1 mile for 25 more years from now, right?
It's hard saying.
So when do those decisions come up, like once every 5 years?
They do about every 3 years, is what I've picked up so far.
So
The
is
last
it maybe
one
in 3 years from now, we'll get an appropriation to pay that?
could be
Could be.
Yeah.
Who makes that decision?
the county, and like I say, it goes on traffic count, so you just work your way down the list.
So maybe I should drive up and down that stretch of the road.
Well, you gotta wait till the traffic.
Only thing
Yeah, I was gonna say, you gotta wait till the traffic counters.
I'll be out there jumping.
I'll go the other ways. I'll go that one way up Wildwood.
And go in a circle maybe?
Right.
Is there any other?
That's it.
Thank you.
Kevin, I've got a couple things I forgot.
We'll let you say it, Jim.
Thanks. All right, so regarding the planning commission report, the next planning commission meeting is the 18th of this month. Should be Tuesday, I would think. And then, I had a brain cramp earlier and emailed everybody without an attachment, so I've now done that. But what I sent you was, I got a notice from Eagle. They're hosting what they call a Renewable Energy Academy. The closest one is in Saginaw on March 4th. And I've already signed up for it. If anybody wants to go, you have the ability through what I sent you, a few clicks, you can sign up. Read it, it looks like it could be very informative for us.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right, thank you. Anything else?
No.
Motion to adjourn?
My motion to adjourn and open up the meeting for the fire department.
Yeah.
I'll
Thank
second
you.
that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
John, the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks for hearing me tonight. Before we had our incident in Mount Holly, I didn't realize we put that on there. But now it's a good depiction about how far she fell. So,
Yeah.
unfortunately, I haven't gotten an update
I
on
was
her.
gonna say, have you heard any more
But last
about
I
it?
knew, she still wasn't doing very well. They were trying to wean her off the tube yesterday, and I haven't gotten anything back from
Yeah,
them.
what a shame.
Yeah.
Let's hope for her sake.
All right, under apparatus and equipment, we received finally the quotes from West Shore that changed their name. They're now Municipal Emergency Services to repair the engines and the tankers for the deficient items they had on there. Unfortunately, the quotes that we got for them were predominantly for diagnosing the issues and not actual repair costs, so you can't build that into the budget. During that though, he did identify that tanker one had a couple broken tank straps on it. So we've since taken it to Bedrock and he's repaired it and it's back now. So we picked it up, last week. 482 is having some starting issues, so Justin reconditioned the batteries and it's working good again for now. We installed a battery tender on brush one. It's just a float charger on the battery so it doesn't die while it sits there over the winter. The little USB charger for the iPad we use in the ambulance, they were transporting a patient down to St. Joe's there and Justin looked down and it was smoking and started catching on fire.
Oh,
So luckily it happened when we were in the truck, I mean, and he was able to disconnect the power from it and it went out, but he replaced the charger on that. It's working well again now. And then I'd like to request approval to purchase a Rancho fiberglass truck cap for the chief's truck. And this would allow me to carry items in there, unusual items that I can carry on scenes to use, and also to utilize it more as a command vehicle. I can have a table in there and the accountability board and other equipment. And I'll be able to keep it secured and out of the elements in the back. And the cheapest price I got for that was $2,800. I didn't attach the other ones in there. I've gotten another one from what's the name of that? From Nitro down in Waterford. I got another quote for a similar cap for $3,800, and then I got another one from Pine Truck Caps for $5,000. So
I'm sorry, you said $2,800?
yes.
I'll make a motion that we approve $2,800 to buy a cap for the back of the chief's truck.
For what?
Yeah.
Where's it coming from?
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, what fund you coming on, John?
Equipment
Equipment?
purchase.
John, just for sake of curiosity, does it match the color of the,
Yes, it will be color coded to the truck.
it's kinda cool.
Do people know you're the chief when you drive up in that truck?
No,
So.
I'm working on it. I have to get the cap on before I can get any lights on it because the sides have to have markers on it and everything.
I'm just
So-
talking like a label
Yeah.
that says like Groveland Fire, or, I mean, I just assumed it would have a label on it, and I guess, I'm just asking status, maybe you've got some, like.
I was
know we have-
curious about that myself actually too, cause don't all of the other vehicles have like Groveland Fire on it?
Oh, the department vehicles?
Yeah.
Oh, the other ones do, yeah. Generally speaking, the chief's truck do not have labeling on them.
Didn't the car, the chief's car that we had,
A long time ago, that one?
the red one?
Yep.
The red one?
So what's the difference?
I mean, I wasn't thinking about lights,
They-
that didn't occur to me, I just thought about a label, you know, just something that said Groveland Fire on
Some
it, so when you pull up
identification.
to a site, I mean, I would, to me, the fire label, I mean, if that's not something that you consider, I think maybe it's a total, I mean, it's a separate thing, it just occurred to me that I think we need to label the fire chief's truck
Mhm.
Groveland Fire Department on it, so when you pull up, people know that's Groveland Fire. I mean,
Okay, I can work on that.
yeah,
Yeah, get prices,
Okay.
something that matches your ambulance,
Mhm.
right,
might as well make them all look the same.
Okay.
but that would then come out of equipment purchase,
Yes.
Yeah.
okay, and the money's there, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
Keith, did you second that?
Yes.
Did you get that one?
No, but I did now.
Okay.
I was gonna ask.
You wanna roll call that for us, please?
Yep. Teresa Bells,
yes,
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Keith Wiederholt,
Yes.
Kevin Scramlin,
Yes.
Janelle Keller.
Yes.
Okay, and then on to personnel. Our new hire Trevor Dean has completed all of his training and is now working shifts. He's working out great, especially since he originally came from here. He knows all the township and ins and outs and our policies, so that's working well. Our new hire, Kyle Bruder, he was currently aligned with Patriot Ambulance. They had a teaching branch, and all of his AHA certifications and everything in order to teach were through them. He's in the process of switching that all over to Genesis now, so he'll be able to teach us the ACLS and BLS and PALS class through there, all in-house, and be able to offer it to the outside agencies as well, maybe make a little bit of money on it, same as many of the other ones are doing around us. Community risk reduction, Stacy has gotten 3 additional businesses to install the knock boxes, so we're making good strides there. On EMS, everyone's undergone the training for the new IO drills we talked about that we purchased, and they're in service on the ambulance. Operations, the station 1 generator went down due to a faulty ignition coil. It was kind of odd, we just gone through and replaced so much on it for that to go bad again, but Justin and I diagnosed it and he got a new one, put it on, and it's working properly now. Station 2 generator is still out of service and awaiting for repair. Actually, I don't know if this is a good time now. I didn't have it on the agenda, but if I could request up to $5,000 for repair on it. I believe the repair cost from PM Technologies was $3,800 for the original repair, but they said they thought it was another issue that they fixed, and after fixing that, they reverted back to the original. So I could request to spend up to $5,000 to repair Station 2 generator, and I can also take that out of equipment.
John, what do they think is wrong with it?
I can't remember the exact name of the part, but it's basically the mixing valve for the gas.
Natural gas?
Natural gas, yes.
How old's the generator?
It was put in 2007, I believe, a short time after we opened that
A
station.
lot of hours on it?
Oh, it has no hours on it. It's been broken for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Strategically, how badly does that hurt if the power goes out? How does that affect the operations of Station 2?
We pretty much have to close it down because we can't open the doors.
You're joking?
No.
And this has been out a long, long time?
Yes.
Have you had to do that?
It's not like we have a lot of power problems.
You have to take the doors apart to get them in.
I know a couple numbers you can call. Power problem.
It's a whole building generator?
Pardon?
It's a whole building generator?
Yeah, actually, it's a whole building generator, and then the reason it's so large, it's extremely large, is because we had to put a 3-phase well pump in over there for our suppression well.
Yeah.
Oh,
So that bumped the size of it up huge.
So this is I'm not castigating anybody here. This is, am I reading this right? This is rather an enormous safety issue for the community?
It is.
What are we waiting for? I mean, this has gotta be an emergency thing. So you have my vote to do whatever you gotta do to tell these people poop or get off the pot or find somebody else, and I know how difficult it is.
Mhm.
Maybe Keith or I could help with that. But I view that as lawsuit waiting to happen, death waiting to happen. I'm not grandstanding, I'm just appalled at that. So, have fun, fix it.
Just a question, and I don't know enough about how these things work, I guess, but, so it's effectively sat for over 10 years maybe?
Yes.
I mean, is this?
See, the whole circuit board was bad on it before because of poor placement, and there's no gutters on that building, so the ice, water dumped into the circuit board, the transfer switch that's on the outside of the wall, and totally fried it. So that was quite a costly repair that we'd done, and in the meantime, we would have to go through and manually start it, and it was a big discombobulated procedure we had to do that.
John, do you know the capacity? I'm sorry. Do you know the capacity? How big it is?
It's a 33 phase though.
Yeah, I got it.
So,
Okay. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, I was more just thinking, like, I mean, it sounds like, so it has sat there, it has multiple problems, like, is this gonna fix it?
they said it will.
That was just.
I have the quote and all this paperwork from his, they actually did the best job at repairing it so far. They actually hooked the computer up and printed me off a report on exactly what it says, cause it's just like a car. You hook up
Yeah,
the OBD reader and it tells you exactly what's wrong with it, so. He tried to do the cheaper way of replacing a couple sensors on it before he replaced that other valve, and that's what the way we opted to go,
okay.
so it didn't work out.
Have we addressed the water issue, the?
Yeah, there's a deflector up there now and another shield over top of it. We still do need to put gutters on it, on that building in the future, but the direct cause for that is fixed.
Okay, so if a motion is needed, I accept John's proposal for whatever amount of money it is to fix it.
He said up to $5,000.
Yeah, up to 5,000.
I'll second that.
Thanks, John.
Thank you. I can forward you that bid to put in if you need it.
I don't know what budget.
Equipment purchase, you said?
Yes.
Laura, would you roll call that, please?
I sure can. Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bells,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Keith Peterhold,
Yes.
Kevin Scramlin.
Yes.
Did I get everybody? Jim Christopher.
Yes.
I was gonna say it. I could have sworn I did.
It's getting late, so we're done.
It's getting late.
Okay, Station 1 boiler was inspected and it passed this time around, which was good news. Hopefully this is the last year that we have to do it, and,
It better be, John.
yeah, hopefully when we move to the new station, I know this is quite a sizable chunk of our insurance that we pay.
Oh, it's
So
the boiler.
hopefully-
Sure.
Hopefully in the new station, we can really drop that.
I didn't
down.
tell you you're moving the boiler over there.
Save us the
Well,
costs,
yeah,
kinda.
nothing new on the new station, you covered the power and gas.
John, sorry to interrupt. Do we have any understanding of what was omitted from the base bid and what it's gonna cost?
No, Barry's still working on that, he's waiting for a price back from his contractor, was the last I got about a week ago, when I talked to him.
I'm meeting with Barry on Friday and he's supposed to have that stuff for me, so.
Okay. I'm very concerned we're not gonna make July.
It's getting close now,
We're gonna make it, Jim,
But-
have faith.
yeah.
I told him you'd come over and work on it in your spare time. Have faith, we'll make it.
Okay? I'm good.
Justin Morose is heading up a committee to revamp our engineer training program. It's kinda fallen by the wayside over time, and unfortunately, the main focus of the department, it goes back and forth between fire and EMS side. We need to kinda realign ourselves with the fire side and then be equal on both in the future, so. He's working on that, it's making great progress, so hopefully early spring, we can implement it and start getting our engineers trained.
Who all do you have that are engineers?
There's Stacy and I, and Justin and Burdess. There's a few more. There's really just a handful that,
I knew
That
you
are
weren't
full.
very many.
we have several, that are level 1 or level 2, but there's not many that can drive the ladder, so. Stacy's in the process of redoing our hiring packet, so it's been photocopied too many times. It looks pretty unprofessional. Well, from what she showed me, it looks really nice. It's very clear to read. Just a few more changes, and I think we'll be able to implement that. And again, when we get the application and everything done, we'll present it to you for approval.
I like that the training is going to, that this packet is gonna include the training that is OSHA required.
Mhm. You know, actually, it's very important because when the state comes in to do our ALS inspection for the ambulance licensure, they go through everybody's orientation packet, and then for all the recent hires, and then just sporadically, you have to pull out other people's employment packages and show them what training they have. So it's very important to keep track of it. And then our right to know posters have been updated. For alarms, this year we were down a little bit from last year. This year we had 85 calls. Last year we had 110 calls, but they have significantly increased over the last couple days. I think we've run about 8 calls a day. I mean, obviously we're on the 3rd call since we've been here. So they are picking up. We assisted Brandon and Holly Village on house fires. And then we had a house fire on Telford Grove. It's off of Perryville. And the fire started in the garage. The homeowner said it was a space heater that was out there, but the fire investigators seemed to think it was originated from the car that was there. But luckily it was all contained to the garage. It was totally sealed up with drywall and had very minimal extension into the living quarters. They did an excellent job when they pulled up. It was coming out the windows in the garage, so they finished breaking them out and then sprayed it in the garage, and they had it out. And, you know, the main fire load out in probably 2 minutes from time of arrival.
Just FYI, the family that lives there, I just realized it's a friend of mine, and she texted me, or I texted her and was like, you know, how can I help? And she just said, would you please let the firefighters know that they did a fantastic job. We really, really appreciate the work that they did. I don't have her text pulled up at the moment, but yeah, she was very, very complimentary to you and the crews that were there. So I wanted to pass that along to you from her.
Good. Yeah, we had everybody around Springfield, Holly, Brandon, NACFA, all came to assist on that with us. And that was one of the bone-chilling days.
Yeah.
So they usually don't go very smoothly because everything freezes up on the trucks usually by the time we get there, unfortunately, but that one went perfect.
Yeah.
And I think he said that their son was upstairs sleeping right above it.
Wow. Yeah, I know they have living space above it. And that house is off the road a little bit, windy driveway, so Telford Grove's not that simple to navigate.
Yeah, we made it in just fine, but the 2 other departments got stuck right at the end of Telford and Van Road.
Yeah.
So it was very lucky it turned out the way it did.
Yeah.
We have no attractions this month, and then for the community outreach, well, as you've seen outside right here, we have the Narcan boxes at both stations and at the township here. We got them for free through the Alliance of Coalitions. One of our firefighters, that's also the sheriff down there, contacted the organization that provides them there, and he got us hooked up with them. So they placed those out there a couple weeks ago, and David's gotten us an article in the paper, and hopefully they are working on getting us a prescription pill drop box. They're kind of revamping it right now. They got one turned in, so hopefully soon we'll get that. And that is it for me.
Has anybody set up with emails yet?
They are.
Great. Who's who?
I will email you that. First thing in the morning.
Alright, that sounds good.
You don't remember off the top of your head?
No, I don't. I think Stacy was one and Rossville was two and Dobbs was three, but I can't say for sure.
That's okay, yeah, just send that along. I also have a favor to ask of you, which is a pain in the butt, and I know this. Are you in on Mondays?
Yes, every day.
Every day on Mondays?
Every day of the week.
I would totally volunteer Paul Keller to be the delivery gentleman for fire bills on Mondays when he returns to work. But intermittently, do you think you could have those sent over on Mondays?
Yes.
That'd be lovely. Just however many you have, even if it's just a couple.
Okay.
Anything else?
No.
That's it?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I support it.
All those in favor?
I.
All right, we survived.
David.